You're listening to GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026. It is 5:05 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we are tracking some of the ongoing severe storms across our area. I am also joined tonight by host of GWP, Isaac Hedges. And although you can't see either of us, you're just going to be able to listen to us and look at our screen. So you'll just kind of have to bear with us here as we continue to figure out how to do this live stream here. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to dive right into it because we just had some breaking news come into us just as we started the live stream. We have a new tornado warning that was just or a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued here just to the west of Nevada here. And so we want to get some more information on this storm here. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and half-dollar size hail. So this storm is going to soon be moving into the Fort Scott area along US 69, and then it will be crossing over into the border. So we're going to be watching that storm. Again, we've got some hail, it looks like, right in this kind of pink-white area just to the west of the highway. And so that is going to continue to be moving east very soon. So that's what we're currently looking at on our radar with this storm here.
Absolutely, yes, Jake. Some threat of tornado possibility of it coming our way. As you mentioned, just crossing over the state line in a few moments, coming over from Kansas, it would appear. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So just to the west of Fort Scott is where our storm is here. And we also now have a flash flood warning as well that was just issued for Bourbon and Crawford counties for Fort Scott. And that goes until 11 o'clock as well. So this storm is soon going to be crossing over here into western Missouri. And again, with it, we're dealing with some pretty strong winds and the possibility of some hail as well.
Absolutely, yes. Some pretty strong winds coming through the area. Jake, you mentioned wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour and the threat of half-dollar sized hail. So, again, that amount of hail, that size of hail, capable of causing damage. So, again, if you've got vehicles, anything like that outside, it is possible that that is going to take dents, that that's going to take some damage. So, again, able to, in a way that's safe at this moment. Have any vehicles out there, get them into a garage under a carport, something like that to avoid that damage. And as for the severe weather, some of the things, some of the precipitation that you're seeing in your area at the moment, whether you be in our immediate listening area here or just outside, well, in any case, we'd be glad any of the questions that you might have, if we yet to address, you can certainly call in and have those answered at 417-448-0819 for all your questions about tonight's severe weather at 417-448-0819. Jake?
Yeah, so you'll want to make sure to call that number. If you're out on the road, that also might be a good idea. If you just kind of give us a brief description of what county you're located in, then we can kind of show you, or not necessarily show you, but tell you when to expect storms and exactly where to go, what highways to take. We can also do stuff like that. And then you can also give us a visual of what you're seeing out there on the roads. That's something else that you can do here. We just got a new severe thunderstorm warning for the Kansas City metro area. So really the same thing is happening that we had happen on Wednesday night, which is that we are getting a storm that is moving across a highly populated area right during rush hour traffic for everybody trying to go home on Friday evening. So everybody just wants to go home on a Friday night. Well, you might want to wait things out at your workplace because we're looking at 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Just a couple minutes ago, we had an automated weather station in Kansas City downtown airport that recorded a 63-mile-per-hour wind gust. So locations impacted include Kansas City, Overland Park, Independence, Lee Summit, Shawnee, Blue Springs, as well as a few other areas. Raytown, Green Valley, Kearney is also under this as well. And so we've got multiple different interstates at this point in time that are going to be affected by this. We've got Interstate 70, we've got Interstates 35, 29, 635, and then 470, 435 as well. So lots of areas being impacted by this storm and lots of heavy rain with it as well. And so we just had a flash flood warning that was just issued for the Kansas City area. This goes for Clay, Jackson, and Plate counties or Platte counties. I don't know why I said Plate. Platte, Jackson, and Clay counties in the Kansas City area until 9 p.m. So we've already seen around an inch of rainfall, and we're expecting additional amounts of rainfall there. So radar indicated threat, but this goes for pretty much the same areas that we just listed off that were under that flash or that were under that severe thunderstorm warning. So again, we're looking at the potential for not only some hail and wind, but also now flooding, as we do have a flash flood warning in effect across the Kansas City metro area. And just while we were talking about that, we had a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued to the south of the Kansas City area. And this is a very dangerous storm. This is what we consider to be qualified for a wireless emergency alert. And so basically what that means is it's a life-threatening storm. If you are in Cass, Bates, or Jackson counties, you need to take shelter in a tornado-safe place. I know it says a severe thunderstorm warning, but these winds are going to be strong enough that it might as well be a tornado. So at 5:02 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending to near Lenexa to near Lane, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So again, for Cass and Jackson counties, we are talking about a destructive threat tag with this particular storm. We've got 80-mile-per-hour wind gust and nickel-size hail. This has also been verified by a automated weather station. So again, we're talking about an observed destructive threat tag. Again, this is enough to where you will be getting an emergency alert on your phone. So this is an automatic governmental warning that will be sent out through everybody's phones. But either way, it is still a very dangerous storm. 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That is hurricane force winds that are going to be coming into southern Jackson and Cass counties. That includes the Lee Summit area. That includes Belton, Raymore, Pleasant Hill, as well as into Garden City, Harrisonville, Archie, and Adrian. All of those areas need to take shelter like you would for a tornado. So we're talking about going to the most interior room on the lowest level of a sturdy structure. That is what you need to do if you are in Jackson or Cass counties, as we are looking at the possibility of getting winds around 80 miles per hour. We've already had those winds observed in northeastern Kansas, and they will soon be crossing the border over into the areas around Interstate 49 on the south side of Kansas City. This right here
Absolutely.
is our Boeing segment that we are watching, and this is where our strongest of the winds are going to be located at. So that's where they're at. They're crossing US 69 around Lewisburg, and they will soon be moving over into Bates and Cass counties. If we go over here to the velocity, yeah, so that is definitely showing up right here. So again, that is where these greens and whites meet up. That is where we're experiencing some very destructive winds here. Life-threatening winds. We're talking about widespread tree damage. Mobile homes can be completely ripped off their foundation. Severe roof damage to commercial buildings as well. So again, significant damage is going to be possible with this particular storm. So take shelter immediately. If you are outside, find a sturdy structure and make sure that you take shelter again as quickly as possible, because 80-mile-per-hour winds are moving into your area. This is what our really big concern has been so far today, has been that wind risk, and now we're dealing with it here as it's starting to cross over into Jackson and Cass counties.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, Jackson, Cass counties, Bates County, again, a few of the areas most immediately affected by this pattern, again, marked as quite possibly destructive. So, again, perhaps what we're looking at a life-threatening pattern here. So, if you're in those areas, you want to take shelter immediately as soon as possible in the lowest, most interior room of your house or building. Again, if you're out on the road in those areas at this moment, as you mentioned, Jake, thing to do. Of course, you don't want to be out on the road at this point. You want to get to a low point, whether that be a ditch. Again, that may be the best place you can find at this point. But again, in however you can, and as much as it is possible, where you may be in one of those counties, Cass, Bates, Jackson County, any of those areas, you want to take shelter at this point because, again, this is no joke. Again, quite possibly a lot of damage there, even life-threatening. So you want to be careful. And any of the folks out there who are in the dark as to what exactly is happening in their county, in their area, you can always ask those questions. You can call in to the number we mentioned before, again, 417-448-0819, or put it in the live chat alongside the stream here. Again, if you'd like to call in, that number is 417-448 0819. Don't hesitate to reach out because, again, this severe weather is no joke. Any new developments, Jake?
Yes, we just had a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued to the east of the one that we showed you a moment ago. This goes for Cass, Henry, Bates, Clay, Ray, Carroll, Caldwell, Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties. So a huge area, a lot of counties under this new warning. This goes until 6:30 p.m., so over an hour. And the reason why is because we've got two different lines of severe storms. We've got a few severe storms out ahead of this big line, but what happens is once we start getting to the point where we have 80-mile-per-hour winds, the National Weather Service will start issuing the weather alerts about 30 to 40 minutes before the storms even make it there to give people additional time just because they're so dangerous. And so that's what we're seeing here. And okay, so the newest information that we just got in here is this severe thunderstorm warning, I believe, yes, is replacing the warning that we just had because the winds are now 70 miles per hour instead of 80. So that is good news. The winds did come down just a little bit. Now we're looking at only 70-mile-per-hour winds, but still 70-mile-per-hour winds can still tear down trees, and then they can also rip off shingles as well. So we can still see some damage from 70-mile-per-hour winds. This is an observed threat. So again, we've had confirmation of 70-mile-per-hour winds. If you're along Interstate 70, this goes for mile markers 25 to 50. So take shelter if you're in any of the counties that we just listed off. We've got Green Valley, Excelsior Springs, Oak Grove, Richmond, Odessa, that are under this warning that continues until 6:30 p.m. And all right, we just got some new information in. We have a brand new tornado warning that has been issued. So we're going to go ahead and get to that since that is the most immediate threat here. We've got Miami and Johnson counties in Kansas and Cass and Jackson counties in Missouri under this new tornado warning. It's on the south side of the Kansas City metro area. It goes until 5:45. Here's the latest. At 5:12, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Cleveland or 7 miles southwest of Belton. Let's find that here on the radar. Belton. There's Belton. So our tornadic storm is kind of in this area. So this is a radar indicated threat. This includes interstates 470 between mile markers 4 and 10, and then Interstate 49 between mile markers 168 and 180. This does include Belton, Raymore, and Lee Summit on the Missouri side of the Kansas City area. And so there it is, just popped up on the radar. So this is where our newest tornado warning is at. Again, it does include Cass and Jackson counties in northwestern Missouri here. So again, there's Kansas City, there's Overland Park. Of course, those are some of the more populated areas. And then Lee Summit is pretty populated as well as Belton and Raymore. Those are also somewhat populated areas also. And so you're now under a tornado warning. Let's see what we've got here on the velocities. Nothing super strong sticking out at this point in time, but we're still watching kind of just some broad rotation here. Regardless, we're looking at some very strong winds. As we mentioned, there's also a severe thunderstorm warning for 80-mile-per-hour winds across this area. So we're still looking at that possibility for 80-mile-per-hour winds, but also across the Cass County or yes, Cass and Jackson County area, we're also now looking at the possibility of a tornado as well. So again, if you're in Belton, if you're in Raymore, make sure to take shelter immediately, or really any areas in between there. Again, this is along Interstate 49 is where we're seeing this, as well as Interstate 435 is also under this warning. So newly issued from the National Weather Service there in Pleasant Hill, tornado warning for those counties.
Absolutely, yes, Jake. You mentioned just moments ago a new tornado warning issued affecting the cities of Belton, Raymore, and again, much of that area. So, any of the folks also now in that area will want to take shelter in the lowest and most interior room of the home and building and get there as quickly as possible for the sake of your safety. Now, as you mentioned, Jake, and a bit of clarification, it would be good to get a bit of clarification on this, perhaps a couple of different regions we talked about. But again, one of the most immediate ones you were talking about, you had said that we had the wind speeds in terms of what we're expected to see drop to 75 miles per hour. Now, we must have been talking about different areas. I didn't quite follow exactly, but I know moments ago we were talking about 60-mile per hour winds. So, are we talking about different regions here?
Yes, so we've got two, so there's a few different warnings here. We've got one for 70 and one for 80 miles per hour. And so this particular area, we're looking at, let's actually keep that on there. Let's see. So this is the area that we're concerned about 80-mile per hour winds. And then this area is where we could be looking at a tornado. And then really anywhere outside of that within these storms right here, that's where we're looking at 70-mile per hour winds. So this right here is 70, 70. And again, this is on the higher end of things, but then we're looking at 80. And then that's kind of our region that we're concerned about our tornado at this point in time. These warnings right here are also for 70-mile per hour winds. So this is also 70. So that's what we're looking at right now as far as the different areas. So we did so, and then I guess the warning across Fort Scott, that one is that's the one that has 60-mile per hour winds.
Absolutely, yes. Well, thank you for the clarification on that, Jake. So, again, some of the warning affecting that area across Kansas, Port Scott area, that's what we were talking about, these 60-mile per hour winds, which, again, still very high speed winds. Again, that is certainly not to negate that point. But again, what we were talking about here in this area, of course, 70-mile per hour winds surrounding the area, kind of where that tornado is forming. And when you get up close to it, again, 80-mile per hour winds is what we're looking at. So, important distinction to make on that front. And especially if you're in this area nearby where this tornado is forming, it's the best idea, best practice to take shelter again in the lowest, most interior room of your home or building. So, again, quite possibly when we have gusts of wind at speeds this high, the notion of flying debris, which again can make those roadways all the more difficult, all the more dangerous. So, again, not a great time to be out on the road. Wouldn't recommend it if you can help it. Again, if you're on the road, and again, as we mentioned, in these areas where this tornado is forming, it's not a great idea to be there. And if you can do anything about it, again, you want to get to a low point, take shelter. Again, if it's what you need to do, stop and get out of your vehicle, get in a ditch for the time being, again, or into a home building nearby. Anything, whatever you can find. Again, the important thing here in this case is to stay safe. Jake?
Yes, and so let's go ahead and, well, it just looks like it moved. So we just got a new scan here. And so really our tornadic rotation that we're watching is, we'll just redraw that here. Right over here, very recently, we just had, let's see. Yeah, so it looks like we had a little bit of tightening in this rotation. So if we were to have a tornado, I think it's on the south side of Belton. But regardless, we've got some very strong winds right along that blue line. So the strongest winds are along Interstate 49. And yeah, so that's what we're looking at right now. So if you're anywhere just to the east of this blue line, that's where you're about to see the 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. Again, 80 is kind of on the higher end of things, but upwards of 80-mile per hour winds are going to be possible mainly along this line. The warning goes for this entire area, but this is where I'm seeing the strongest of the winds on on the velocities here. And then we've got a little bit of a couplet kind of in this region right here, and that could possibly be a tornado. So we're going to be watching both of those very closely here. So possible tornado on the southwest side of Belton. Again, there is still a tornado warning until 5, and breaking news just came into us. This is on the ground. So again, like I said, I mean, that looks very strong. That looks like a very strong signature. And so, yes, we do in fact have a tornado. So this is one of those maps here. The National Weather Service's radar velocity is usually very accurate in as far as depicting whether or not we have a tornado on the ground. And usually if there's rotation on this velocity, there usually is a tornado on the ground. And so that is what we are experiencing. So here's the tornado. Again, we now have a report of a confirmed tornado. So this is a tornado warning for Cass and Jackson counties at 5:23 p.m. A confirmed tornado was located over Raymore. Okay, so it looks like it's moved a little bit east of there now, but it was located over Raymore, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So again, this is now a radar confirmed tornado across the Belton Raymore area. And so let's see if let's just trying to
Absolutely,
get some
radar
more
confirmed.
information on that. So again, here's kind of that Boeing segment. So that's where we're looking at straight line winds, but now we have a radar confirmed tornado somewhere in the middle of Belton and Raymore. What it appears is about 7 minutes ago, it looks like it would have been just to the southwest of Belton. Let's see, I'm going to reload this here, and if we can get kind of a closer look at this. And yeah, so there it is, right there. That was 4 minutes ago. There was the tornado. It likely crossed over the interstate there on Interstate 49. So take shelter immediately because now we're not just looking at a tornado threat. We're actually looking at a tornado on the ground just on the southern end of the Kansas City metro area in the suburbs of Belton and Raymore continuing to move east. We also want to update you on some new information across um, here into Nevada. Nevada just went under a severe thunderstorm warning. This goes for Vernon County in Missouri until 6 p.m. under a severe thunderstorm warning. At 5:22 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Fort Scott, moving northeast at 65 miles per hour. Hazards include ping pong ball size hail and 60 mile per hour winds. This is a radar indicated threat. Hazard impacts. So we're looking at people and animals may be injured if they're outside. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees as well. So as far as where we're looking at, the strongest of the winds are right in here. And then if I had to guess, I think that's our hail. Let me just switch this over real quick. Okay, so we just moved a little bit east here. So there's where we're seeing our hail. Yeah, so we got some hail on the south side of Fort Scott moving into western Vernon County, and then we're going to have some strong winds coming in here on the eastern side of the storm here. So there is the velocities. So right now we're looking at some hail around US 69, just to the south of US 54 in Bourbon County, crossing over into Vernon County. And then we do have some strong winds right in here, upwards of 60 mile per hour winds are going to be possible with this particular storm. So, ping pong ball size hail, that's 1.5 inches in diameter, and then we're looking at 60 mile per hour winds. So, some damage is going to be possible out of this particular storm that is now moving into Vernon County, and that does include Nevada. So, Nevada, you are now under this severe thunderstorm warning. Let's get some other locations in here. So we've got locations impacted include Nevada, Fort Scott, Walker, Shell City, Bernal, Moundville, Richards, Milo, Deerfield as well. So Stotesbury also under this warning. So 60 mile per hour winds, 1.5 inches in diameter hail is going to be possible with this storm.
Absolutely. Yes, Jake, some important information on that. Of course, in our local listening area here in Nevada, Missouri, a severe thunderstorm warning issued just moments ago. So, again, possibility of ping pong ball sized hail. And again, we'll get to in just a few moments, again, as we've discussed extensively for a comprehensive overview and what to do and all sorts of conditions like this. You'll want to check out our GWP severe weather preparedness video. But again, want to watch out for hail, different things. Naturally, it is coming down right here in Nevada.
And so it does appear that we may have just lost connection with our host Isaac Hedges, who is actually currently experiencing that very storm that we have been looking at here on the radar. So it's very well possible that maybe some sort of power outage, some sort of connection issue may be going on across that area. So we will continue to check in. Let me just go ahead and go over to his video feed. And yes, he is frozen on our video feed. So currently frozen at this point in time. So again, we will check back in with him later when we're able to, when we get some sort of information. And okay, I just got some new information in. We had a new tornado watch that was issued across some of our counties that were not under that watch previously. Okay, let's see what we've got here. So new. Okay, this was the area that was not under the watch before. And so, yeah, it looks like we're now getting an expansion on that watch. So, okay. So this watch over here, this tornado watch goes until 9 o'clock and includes Nevada and Kansas City. And then this tornado watch across eastern Missouri, including Columbia and Jefferson City, that one goes until 11 o'clock. But it appears that we have a new tornado watch that was just issued across our central counties. So Lake of the Ozarks, looks like we've got a few more counties that have been added under the 9 o'clock tornado watch. So it looks like it's the same tornado watch. It's just been extended a little bit further to the south. So same watch, just a different area that is now being affected by that. All right, let's go ahead and get an update on the tornado warning across the Kansas City area, or just south of Kansas City. And okay, let's go to the velocities on this here. So yeah, it looks like just a little bit on the north side of Raymore. We're potentially still looking at some rotation. Again, just a few minutes ago, this tornado was confirmed to be on the ground. At this point in time, it appears that it is no longer on the ground, but still seeing some strong winds. There is also still some rotation. So it's now a radar indicated threat, no longer an observed threat, but still something that we want to watch because it very well could be back on the ground very soon. At 5:31 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Raymore, moving east-northeast at 40 miles per hour. So again, this is a radar indicated rotation, but we had a radar confirmed tornado just a few moments ago. So again, that includes, we've got Jackson and Cass counties under this tornado warning until 5:45. The other, just kind of the more on a broader scope, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect across the Kansas City area. So that warning goes for Clay and Jackson counties. The main threats here are going to be 70-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-size hail. We've got a considerable and an observed tag on that particular warning. That goes until 6 p.m. So that's this warning right here. And then to the south of that, including the same areas that are under the tornado warning, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that has a destructive observed tag on it. And this goes, okay, so yes, we just got some new information to us. The public has now, we now have confirmed that we have 80-mile-per-hour winds with the storm in the Lee Summit area. So we now have 80-mile-per-hour winds confirmed in association with this storm here around the Lee Summit, Raymore, Harrisonville area. So extremely dangerous situation ongoing here. Again, there's a destructive threat tag, and we have 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts are going to be possible with this particular storm. So please take shelter like you would for a tornado, especially if you're under that warning, because this storm has already produced a tornado. And then, so we've got two different severe thunderstorm warnings, one for the Kansas City metro area, and then one for Cass County, and in Debates County and Jackson counties. That's for 80-mile-per-hour winds. Then that entire area to the east is under a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds. There is a considerable and an observed threat tag with this particular storm. So again, both of these storms here, really this whole line of storms has been confirmed to actually be happening. So we have ground truth of this particular storm producing 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. In fact, let's just go ahead and pop over here to the SPC's storm reports. We'll see what kind of damage we've had reported in here. So here it was in Raytown, there was 70 mile per hour wind gust recorded. Spring Hill, there was a 67 mile per hour wind gust reported at 5:04 p.m. And we had around Franklin County, Kansas, 65 mile per hour winds. That was at 4:41 p.m. So that was from a little bit ago. Let's see. We've also had yeah, not really a whole lot of hail has been recorded out of this storm. So not too much out at this point in time. So our main reports that we have so far are for wind. 60 to 70 mile per hour winds have been confirmed, as you'll notice here in these reports here. Okay, let's see. And then again, we also had a tornado that was reported around Raytown. Let's see if we have that report here. And it appears there, or there it is, Belton. Belton, Missouri. Okay, so that's kind of what I thought. It was around the Belton area in Cass County, Missouri at 5:25. So just 10 minutes ago, we had a tornado that was on the ground in Belton, Missouri, which is a suburb of Kansas City. So if you know of anybody who lives in Belton or around that area, you may want to call and check on them. They might not be able to answer immediately, just given the situation. But we do know that there was a brief tornado touchdown in Belton, Missouri. As far as damage and injuries or anything like that, it is way too early for us to know anything as far as that goes. But again, we do know that there has been some damage recorded across, or at least we're assuming at this point, considering that it's in a populated area, there most likely has been some damage out of that particular storm. All right,
All
let's
right.
go
Yes.
ahead and all right, let's see, Isaac, are you back on here? We briefly lost connection with you. How are
Yes, it
things
appears we
going
did.
there,
I am
man?
back on, Jake. Yes, I am back on. It is good to be back on. As you mentioned just moments ago, that tornado, of course, touched down in Belton, Missouri. So again, the Belton Raymar area affected just moments ago by that tornado. So as we mentioned previously, any of the folks in that area, again, good in that case to take shelter in the lowest, most interior room of your home or buildings. So certainly that we will continue to follow moments ago. Again, I may have missed some important updates on that, so you may have to fill me in. And we thank you all at home for bearing with us through these technical difficulties. Again, there are certain additional technical difficulties that come along with doing these streams during severe weather. We thank you all for bearing with us. Again, what happened likely just moments ago was an issue with the satellite internet connection was knocked out on account of the weather, which again, certainly is not unheard of. We've had that happen here before. Again, we thank you all for your patience. The good news, however, though, is if you'd like to call in and have your questions answered, we can do that regardless. That does not rely on a satellite connection. If you'd like to do that, it is a great opportunity to have those burning questions answered. You can call in. The number to do that is 417 448 0819. Again, if you're a little bit in the dark as to what's going on, you're afraid about what's happening in your area, we will answer those questions to the best of our abilities. If you'd like to reach out, again, that number is 417 448 0819. Again, we'll do our best to answer any of the questions that you might have. So, yes, again, Jake, good to be back after a brief disconnection there, a little bit of technical difficulty. What did I miss?
Yeah, so of course, we mentioned the fact that we had, um, let's see, yeah, so we had some new information, of course, as you were talking about. Of course, but there was a tornado confirmed there in Belton. There still is a warning that remains in effect until 5:45. So take shelter if you are in those areas because still. Tornado warning goes for another 7 minutes. We also had a new severe thunderstorm warning that we were talking about across the Nevada area. That goes until 5:45, so we're still watching that. There was also a little bit of rotation that I was drawing attention to here, just to the west of Nevada. So it's very well possible that we have a funnel cloud at this point along US 54. So if you're traveling there, we'll definitely want to watch this closely here. I don't think And in fact, not only do I not think, I'm very confident that we don't have a tornado at this point in time, but still a little bit of rotation just on the east side of Fort Scott, kind of on the just right around the border. Again, a little bit of rotation across that area, but still nothing strong enough to where this would go up to a warning or anything. But just kind of in this area, we need to watch that closely to see if there's any new developments any here any point soon. And okay, we just had a brand new warning that was issued. Northern Vernon County is now under a flash flood warning until 11:45. So this does include Nevada, Walker, Moundville, Richards, Deerfield, and Stotesbury. So flash flood warning issued, radar indicated. We've already seen around an inch of rainfall, and quite a bit of rainfall is still yet to come across that area. And so, yeah, so we've got that, and then we still have that flash flood warning in Kansas City until 9 o'clock. So again, flash flood warnings in effect across both Kansas City and they're in Nevada as well. So we've got that going on at this time. Okay, let's see. We also need to watch these storms along US 54 because we are looking at right now what appears these storms appear to be strengthening. So we're going to be watching these right here, particularly just to the east of El Dorado Springs and west of Wabalo along US 54. Those storms are starting to intensify. I just got a report that said there might be some hail with those, so make sure to be ready for that. Okay, new update on the Vernon County severe thunderstorm warning that includes Nevada. We've got 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This warning now goes until 6 p.m. At 5:35 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located right over Nevada, moving northeast at 65 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is a radar-indicated threat. So again, we're looking at the possibility of some pretty strong winds here across the area. Let's get an updated scan here of the radar, and we'll look here at the velocities. And so not really a whole lot on velocities right now. Again, we're still watching that rotation on the west side of Nevada. Let's switch radar sites here. Yeah, so I'm still a little bit concerned about the possibility of some rotation up in the atmosphere just on the northern side of Moundville, west of Nevada. There is a possibility that we could be seeing something start to develop across that area. So if you are in this area, make sure to take shelter and just be ready for the possibility of needing to go to a more sturdy location. We'll just say that for now. And then we still have a tornado warning for the Lee Summit area. This goes for Jackson, Count, and Cass counties until 5:45. And we just got new information from the National Weather Service. They are going to allow that to expire at 5:45. Now, it is possible that there is an extension if the rotation does continue, but that is still something that we are tracking closely.
Absolutely. So we'll continue to follow that and see if that rotation continues. Again, now set to expire at 5:45. The National Weather Service says that they're going to allow that to expire at 5:45. There is, of course, still a possibility that is extended if that rotation continues. We will continue to track that. And again, much of this severe weather happening throughout the night. So you have to stay tuned for all of that and more here on GWP Live. We thank you all again for bearing with us through these technical difficulties. Again, though we may have these, again, you can always reach out and have your questions answered in the ways that we mentioned previously. Also, in the chat alongside this live stream. So many of different things. If you're in any of those areas affected by tornado warning at this point, again, any of the areas where tornadoes that touched down recently, especially we mentioned just moments ago, the Belton Raymore area, tornado in that area especially, you want to take shelter, lowest, most interior room of your home or building. And again, if you miss out on any of this, if you want a more detailed, comprehensive rundown of what exactly to do in the event of severe storms, severe weather events such as these, well, you can check out our GWP severe weather preparedness video. Now, Jake, do we have any new developments?
Yes, we just had a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued to the north of Nevada, including Butler here. Let's get to that one. This goes for Henry and Bates counties in Missouri. This is from Pleasant Hill. We've got severe thunderstorm warning issued until 6:45 p.m. At 5:39 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 7 miles northeast of Hume to near Walker, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So these storms are not walking, they are certainly moving very fast. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and penny-sized hail. This is a radar-indicated threat, damage to roof sidings and trees. Locations, we're looking at Butler, Adrian, Rich Hill, as well as into Hume under this warning. This goes for Interstate 49 mile markers 118 to 146. And then there's also kind of a quick note here at the bottom that talks about how there's a lot of rainfall with these storms. So flash flooding is also going to be a possibility. But again, a new warning issued for Bates and Henry counties. And so for Bates County, this includes Hume, we've got Rich Hill, we've got Walnut, Butler, Mount Pleasant under this storm. This warning also goes up into Adrian County as well. So if you're along Interstate 49, you'll want to make sure to get off of there as quickly as possible or drive away from the storm here. And then we've also got portions of Henry County further to the east that are under this warning as well. So we've got Rockville, we've got Pleasant Gap as well under this warning. Currently, Clinton, you are not under this warning, so the warning is just to the west of there. So it's west of Missouri State Highway 43. That is where, or 13, excuse me, not 43, 13. A lot of state highways in that area. 13 in Henry County, so it's just to the west of there, and it's for Henry and Bates County until 6:45 p.m. across that area. So we've also got that warning that we've been tracking on the east side of Kansas City. That remains in effect for, we've got Cass, Henry, Bates, Clay, Ray, Carroll, Caldwell, Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties. 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail are going to be possible with that warning. And then we're looking at Green Valley, Excelsior Springs, Oak Grove, Richmond, Odessa, Higginsville, Lexington under this warning. That goes from Interstate 70 between mile markers 25 to around the 50 area. So we have a considerable threat tag, and the wind damage has also been observed. So we have an observed and a considerable threat tag with this particular warning.
Absolutely, an observed and considerable threat tag along with this warning was issued just moments ago. So certainly a recent development on that again. So possible threat damage again caused by that. So again, certainly something you want to take heed of, especially if you're in that area. Of course, as we mentioned, some of the areas with some of these storms, certainly when it becomes severe to a certain degrees, in the case of tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, the appropriate thing to do is, of course, to take shelter, lowest, most interior room of your home or building. So certainly not a great time if you can help it again to be out on the roadways during this time. So wouldn't recommend that certainly. And again, if you're in a spot where again these warnings are in effect, again perhaps in the areas we just talked moments ago where there was a tornado, the Belton Raymore area, of course, in that area. If you're on a roadway at that time, again, you want to stop, get out, again, get to a low pointed ditch or something if that's the best that you can do. Jake?
Yes, yeah, so you'll want to make sure to do that. And something else that we have, let's see here. We've got what I would call a suspicious rotation west of Nevada. And there's no
Suspicious
warning
rotation.
particularly on this here, but there is suspicious rotation, is what I would call it right now, going on
Uh,
in the atmosphere right now. Right here, just to the west of Nevada, I'm a little bit concerned that this may be a funnel cloud, and I don't think this is a tornado yet, but I think it very well could very easily turn into one very quickly. Right in here, just to the west side of Nevada. So there's not necessarily a tornado warning, but if you are in this area, I would certainly be very close to a tornado shelter, just kind of in this general vicinity right here. I would let me draw that again. That's kind of this general vicinity right here. That's kind of what I would say. So northwest of Nevada, along US 54, kind of along Highway 43 as well. That area, again, just a very suspicious rotation that we're dealing with at this time to the west of Nevada at this point in time. Just happened to notice that here on the velocities. So we'll see what comes out of that. Doesn't appear to be a tornado at this point in time, but I think it could be.
Absolutely, yes. A moment ago, of course, just saw a suspicious rotation just west here of the city of Nevada. So, again, not yet a tornado, but again, it is possible that that could form into one. So, we will continue to keep a close eye on that. Again, folks, in that area, as we mentioned, just west of Nevada, you'll want to keep a close eye on that as well. Again, a great place, of course. For that, you want to stay tuned to GWP Live here for the weather updates on that. Again, if you've got any questions or any clarification as to what exactly you should do, you can always call in with those questions at 417-448-0819. Again, ask us, again, whatever you might have questions about in light of this severe weather. So again, not yet a tornado, but a suspicious rotation sighted just west of Nevada. So we will continue to follow that, see if it becomes any more serious. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll continue to keep an eye on that. So again, it looks, as we mentioned, we call it a suspicious rotation. So again, suspiciously like it could form into a funnel cloud, which then could become a tornado. Jake?
Yeah, so that's what we have on that at this point in time. And so, again, just this particular storm on the west side of Nevada, we want to watch that very closely. We've also still have that. One moment here. We're going to switch over. Let's see what we've got on. I'm going to look at a different map here. So, yeah, not super strong at this point in time. So, just a little bit of broad rotation in here, but overall, nothing too strong. Now, that, okay, we just see, it looks like we just had an update there. And okay, here we go. We've got a new scan here, and it looks like on the north side of Nevada right now, still a little bit of rotation, but I think for the most part, we're just looking at some pretty strong winds right in here. Maybe a 50, 60 mile per hour wind gust across this area on the northern side of Nevada, but still a little bit of rotation that we are watching with that particular storm. So that's where we're at with that one. Let's go up to here in further to the north towards Kansas City. We've got some strong winds right here, it looks like, just to the southeast of Lee Summit. So we've got that warning that still remains in effect. So these storms, so we've seen a little bit of some weakening there in the storms, it looks like, to the east of Kansas City. So we've got that here. This one, we just saw an extension of that one just to the south of Chillicothe along Interstate 70. So we've got that. Again, newly issued warning for Bates and Henry counties, particularly for this area right in here where we've still got some Boeing straight line winds possible. So again, 60 mile per hour winds and some small hail is going to be possible with that one right there. So let's just do a quick
Absolutely.
warning check right now. In Vernon County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning until 6 p.m., 60 mile per hour winds and quarter size hail. There's also a flash flood warning until 11:45. In Bates County right now, we have a severe thunderstorm warning until 6:45, including Butler for 60 mile per hour winds and penny size hail. That also includes Henry County as well. And then on the western side, right in this area, on the western side of Bates County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is actually for a completely different storm. So I really want to make a big distinction here. We've got this storm right here, and then we've got another storm out to the west. So if you're in the middle and you're not seeing a whole lot of rainfall, understand that there's still another round of thunderstorms that's going to move through that can cause just as much damage, if not more, than what we're dealing with from this first batch. I mean, as of right now, the winds look a little bit stronger stronger from this first batch of thunderstorms than they do on the second one, but still some damage is going to be possible. And that goes for Cass and Bates County in west central Missouri. Right here, this is what we're talking about. Severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. Excuse me, until 6:30 for western Bates and Cass counties. And then on the eastern side of Bates County, including Henry County, a separate warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds until 6:45. So regardless of what warning it is or what warning it's not, there's two different ones, and so you need to be aware that it's not just the one storm that we're tracking. So we've got
Absolutely.
that one. And then just to the north of that, on the west side, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson and Cass counties. This is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. There is also a tornado possible tag with that storm. So there could be a tornado right in here on the south side of US 50 moving towards Pleasant Hill. So could be a tornado with that. There is a considerable threat and an observed tag with the wind threat. So 70-mile-per-hour winds with that one. And then to the north of that, another severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That also has an observed tag. This one includes Kansas City. And then how about the one just to the east of Kansas City, right in here? That warning is for Cass, Henry, Bates, Ray, Clay, Carroll, Caldwell, Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties. That one is for 70-mile-per-hour winds, quarter size hail. There is a considerable observed threat tag with this severe thunderstorm warning. So we've got one, we've got two, we've got three, we've got four, we've got five, we've got six ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings across northwestern counties right now here in Missouri.
Absolutely, Jake. As you mentioned, of course, a number of different warnings in effect throughout the area, so you will have to stay tuned for the latest information on that, as well as the precautions to take on that. Again, these warnings affecting your area. What do they mean? Again, what should you do? What precautions should you take in relation to it? Do you need to take shelter? Again, have to stay tuned for GWP Live for all that and more throughout the night as these storms rage on. So, a number of different things. Of course, looking back at our local listening area here in Nevada, Missouri. We mentioned just moments ago, took a little bit of a look at some wind, a bit of possible rotation, a bit of rotation just west of Nevada. Looked a little bit suspicious. We zoomed in on it just moments ago, took a closer look at it. Again, doesn't look too concerning at this point. We will continue to follow it nonetheless. But again, not quite as bad as we initially thought. That is not to say that it couldn't become more severe. That is why we're continuing to look at it and why you'll have to stay tuned for the latest on it. We also mentioned moments ago another bit of wind, another little bit of a pattern just north of Nevada. Again, possibly a similar thing here, a little bit of rotation there, though still in its infancy, not terribly threatening in appearance yet at this point. Though, again, we will continue to keep an eye on that because, as we mentioned just moments ago, this is how tornadoes start. Again, oftentimes, of course, it begins from what we call a suspicious rotation. That's why we're trying to identify these patterns, which can then form into funnel clouds, which then become tornadoes, which, as we know, can cause a great deal of damage, can be quite deadly. So it is crucial if you're in an area affected by warnings of this sort, as we mentioned time and time again, but we keep mentioning it for a reason because, again, your safety is important. You want to move to the lowest, most interior room of your home or building if you happen to be out on the road at this time, which we do not advise. But if you are out on the road at this time, recommend again stopping, taking shelter again. In as much as it is possible. If it's what you've got to do, take shelter down in a ditch, find a nearby home building, anything of the sort. Again, possibility also, don't know that we've seen a great deal of it tonight, but again, with as much precipitation as we're seeing. There's a possibility of flooding. That is another one of the issues that we discuss in our GWP severe weather preparedness episode. The gist of it is, though, during these storms, we often see flooded roadways. We see water levels higher than usual. Again, certain roads become impassable. And again, we have these signs. These are often marked. This is why these precautions are often advised during these storms, during these cycles, and different things. It is, of course, for a reason. So, again, you want to take special precaution due to that. Again, in the case of these flooded roadways, we've seen so many times where people will say, "Oh, my vehicle's tough. It's high enough up. I'm not going to hydroplaning. What's that? It'll be perfectly safe. Don't see any threat about this whatsoever." And then what do you know? They weren't all right. So again, we don't recommend it. If you can do anything about it, just avoid it. Again, we're not seeing a lot of that at this point. We mentioned just moments ago the possibility of hail in the area. We mentioned moments ago, you'll have to give me an update on this and what size we're looking at. I think the biggest we've talked about in the past few moments, we talked about ping pong ball sized hail. Believe that one of the areas we covered maybe half dollar sized hail, about the extent of it at this point, but still capable of damage nonetheless. So again, that is why in these things it is the best practice to park any of those vehicles outside. Again, this hail is capable of damage, so you don't want to have dense things like that to have your vehicle in a garage under a carport if possible. But again, that said, you don't want to put your safety on the line for something like that. Again, your safety is more important than your car, so that is an important thing to consider. Now, as for an update on that, Jake, not sure how closely we've been following that element specifically, but again, that is something we've covered at different points throughout this stream. Is that hail, again, how it's looking, what size, what sort of damage we're looking at, what it is capable of? What size of hail are we seeing at this point? Jake?
Yes, at this point, we've seen some quarter-size hail as well as some ping pong ball-sized hail, kind of on the higher end of things. So that's what we've seen as of this point in time. So, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start things over a little bit because it is now the top of the hour. You're listening into GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026. We are now just after 6 p.m. here, both of your hosts here tracking the ongoing severe threat across our region, one of the highest severe weather threats that we've had in quite a while. I was looking, the last time we had this high of a severe weather threat in the state of Missouri was on May 19th, 2025, which was, of course, last year. And on that day, we had 7 inches of rain that fell in my rain gauge there in Nevada. So that was just last year. And so now we have just, as high of a threat as we had that day of severe weather. So we're tracking the ongoing threat. Let's go ahead and we'll move you back over to the radar. And we'll actually first, we're going to look at some of the alerts across the country as we've got tornado watches that remain in place until 9 p.m. across our western counties. And then our eastern counties are under watches until 11 p.m. So different areas under different timing as far as when those watches are going to continue for. And then our far southern counties currently are not under a tornado watch. Joplin, Bolivar, Springfield, Lebanon, over into Rolla, you are still not under a tornado watch, but we will likely see watches issued a little bit later on this evening. So we're tracking quite a few active storms right now at this point in time. You'll notice all the way from Oklahoma into Wisconsin, we have active watches and warnings that are currently out for the area. And so this is one of these. This is the area that is under the risk for severe weather today. We've got northern Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, as well as into northwestern Missouri, including our viewing area under that moderate risk for severe weather. That is 4 out of 5 on the SPC's severe weather scale, and it does include 3.2 million people, including Kansas City, Missouri, Wichita, Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, and also into Topeka and Kansas City, Kansas too. And then the rest of our viewing area that isn't under that moderate risk is under an enhanced risk, which is a 3 out of 5 on the SPC's severe weather scale. So we've got that going on. Tornadoes is not really going to be our main concern, but we are still under that intensity scale 1 which means if two tornadoes are going to be possible, and we are in that 5% category. So again, overall, tornado threat is low, but a few stronger tornadoes are going to be possible. Our wind threat is our biggest concern. In our northwestern counties, we are under that second level of intensity, which means that we could be looking at winds upwards of 85 to 95 miles per hour. So winds of 85 to 95 are going to be possible around the Kansas City area. We've already seen some strong storms move through there with 70-mile-per-hour winds. So that's going to be a possibility. We are in a decent risk here as we're in that 45% category across the majority of the viewing area, including Nevada over to Kansas City and Columbia. So that's where we're at on wind. Hail threat is going to be mainly across Oklahoma and Kansas, but a few of those storms here in Missouri, we could be looking at a hail threat. And so this is not only in effect for us, but it's all the way from Oklahoma to Wisconsin. Severe weather threat. And the driver for this is going to be that cold front that is going to be moving in very soon. Also, on the drier end of things, we've got a fire risk today across New Mexico and Texas, and then snowfall, even in the Rockies. Denver, Colorado picking up a few inches of snow earlier today. So again, lots of different disturbed weather going on at this point in time. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll move into our active alerts that we have at this point in time. So Kansas City, you are no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning, even though this particular map still shows it. This warning has now expired. So that is the good news. But now we are still looking at this warning just to the west of Warrensburg. And so that warning is ongoing. Let's see when that. Okay, so we're currently having some technical difficulties on that, getting that one pulled up. But we did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning for Warrensburg. That goes for Pettis, Saline, Lafayette, and Johnson counties in west central Missouri. This goes until 6:45, so again, newly issued at 6:01 p.m. Severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from near Waverly to near Oak Grove to near Kingsville, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-sized hail. Nickel-sized hail is not severe, but it can still cause some dents in your vehicles. But our main threat is going to be the 60-mile-per-hour winds. This goes for Interstate 70 between mile markers 47 and 71. Locations impacted include Warrensburg, Marshall, Higginsville, Knob Noster, Concordia, Sweet Springs, Waverly, as well as into Malta Bend, Blackburn, and Centerview and Fayetteville. Those areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45, so you'll want to make sure to move indoors immediately. And again, 60-mile-per-hour winds is the main threat. That is a radar indicated threat, and that goes along Interstate 70. And so that's this area to the east there of. Let's see here. So this is kind of where that new warning has been issued, kind of in this area right here. Severe thunderstorm warning newly issued till 6:45 across the area. We also still have a warning to the south of that right here, and that includes Butler along Interstate 49. This goes for Henry and Bates counties until 6:45. At 5:54, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Butler to near Shell City, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. So 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible with that storm as well. And then again, as we were mentioning just a little bit ago, these warnings are not just for this line of storms, but we have a warning out to the west of that for another line of storms that's going to be moving in soon. And this goes for Cass and Bates counties in Missouri. So this is on the western end of Interstate 49. This goes for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There is also now a tornado possible tag, as we do have some rotation around the Mound City area. So let's take a look at that here. So nothing too strong at this point in time, but it looks like around Mound City and Pleasanton, just to the west here of US 69 here, there is a little bit of rotation. So right in this area right here, some broad rotation. If you are along US 69 in the Mound City, Pleasanton area, you might want to take shelter because there is a tornado possible tag with this particular storm. We've already had a tornado this week in this same area. There was a tornado right around here on Monday night, and now we're looking at possibly another tornado just miles away from where the previous tornado was earlier this week. So that's the latest on our warnings that we have out there across the area.
Absolutely, yes, Jack. A major development on that, of course, around that area. Severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag attached to it. So again, already we saw a severe thunderstorm warning around that area, and again, now has been attached to it a tornado possible tag. So again, we'll want to continue to watch that. Again, we see that from time to time. We flesh out the distinctions in our GWP severe weather preparedness video as to what exactly the differences are between a tornado watch, a tornado warning, and a tornado possible tag. So, again, a tornado possible tag is not the same. It's not as severe per se as a tornado warning. It's not saying that it's an imminent threat, but again, it's possible that one could form. And of course, when it's a tag, that means it's attached to something, it's attached to a warning already. So we already saw some severe weather in this area. This is a sign, put simply, that it is becoming more severe. So if you are in one of these areas, affected by, even as this severe thunderstorm warning happens to have a tornado possible tag attached to it, you want to take the appropriate precautions. And again, you can never be too safe. Jake?
Yes, yeah, that certainly is a good way to put that these tags in particular. Again, there's usually a lot of questions surrounding the tags. The tag is basically there just to say that something could happen, and so that's basically what the idea is. And the difference between a tornado tag and a tornado warning, here's the way I would describe it: as a tornado tag means that it's low chance. A tornado warning means that it's a much higher chance that there's going to be a tornado with that particular storm. So that's probably the way that I would use to compare it. So again, if you're living a little bit on the risky side, you wouldn't necessarily pay attention to the tornado tag. But if you are under a tornado warning, you definitely need to take shelter, even if you are on the riskier side, because that would be that would be on the just dangerous side, I would say. Not even really, I don't even think that's the dangerous, or I don't even think that's the risky side. I think that's the dangerous side if you do that. So again, that's kind of what we're looking at when it comes to that comparison between the tornado tags and the tornado warnings. So that's what we're looking at right now. So let's go out to a more regional view just so we can kind of see what it is that we're dealing with right now. So let's see, we've got, so here's where our storms are at right now. So again, some pretty strong storms just to the east of Kansas City, producing some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That's along Interstate 70. And then we've got a pretty strong storm on the northeast side of Vernon County right now. That one is currently not warned, but still something that we're tracking. And then we've got kind of this secondary wave, if you want to call it, of storms that's coming in. And so I would be really concerned about flash flooding in this area right now, mainly because we just had these storms that have already moved through, and then now we're getting another batch of thunderstorms moving in on the west side of things. And then we've already got flash flood warnings in effect for Fort Scott and Nevada. So certainly could be looking at some flooding now that we're dealing with multiple rounds of storms at this point in time. And then we've even got some storms further to the west of that. These are currently not severe warned, but still something we're tracking. And then how about these guys right there across northern Oklahoma and Kansas as well. And then once you get anywhere west and south of that, severe weather threat really diminishes there. I mean, we have some showers here across Texas and Oklahoma, but our threat is much lower. Our main concern is from northern Oklahoma and then points to the north of that. And then it looks like we've got another cluster of storms just to the north of US 36 there, along US 63 also. A couple of tornado warned storms across western Illinois. We've had some pretty strong storms across eastern Iowa, so multiple tornado warnings beginning to develop there. We've got tornado warnings again in southern Wisconsin. This area has just not been able to get a break. And so we've just got, even in the northern part of Wisconsin, we've got tornado warnings. In total, right now, we have 32 severe thunderstorm warnings, and we've got 11 tornado warnings and 9 flash flood warnings. So 52 when you combine all of those, we've got 52 different warnings across the country. And again, it all has to do with this severe weather that we're dealing with from Oklahoma all the way up to Wisconsin. And then here in Missouri, we're right in the middle of that. So that's what we're looking at here across the country here. So again, really, the central portion of the U.S. from the traditional tornado alley, but it's a little bit northeast of where the traditional tornado alley is. So that's kind of what makes this situation, I guess you could say, a little bit more unique from what maybe we've seen in years past. Is that we typically don't get tornadic activity that far to the north this early on in the season. We kind of talked a little bit about that earlier. Um, in the week, but yeah, so that's something that we just don't necessarily always see this early on. Okay, we just had a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for, let's see, that's St. Clair County in Missouri. This goes until 7 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. At 6:10 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Shell City, or about 10 miles north of El Dorado Springs, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So we were actually just talking about this storm a few minutes ago, and well, now we have a warning on it. So hail damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roof sidings and trees will also be possible. Locations impacted by the St. Clair severe thunderstorm warning include Truman Lake, Osceola, Lowry City, as well as into Johnson City, Iconium, Harper, and Mackinac Springs. So those areas under severe thunderstorm warning until 7 p.m. So some pretty large hail is going to be possible just on the northeast side of Shell City. So the storm has already moved through Shell City. And now it's on the northeast end of that. Here's Osceola, here's Lowry City, so we're just to the west of that. And in this white and purplish area right here, that's really our hill core that we are concerned about at this point in time. And okay, we've also got a little bit of rotation on this storm. I believe this is the same storm that we were looking at in just north of Nevada a few minutes ago. I think it was over here, and then now I think we've seen it move to the east. Does that sound right, Isaac? Do you remember? Does this kind of look like it was in the same area of where we saw that storm that we were showing you about 15 minutes ago?
Well, that is a great question, Jake, and I don't recall exactly, but it would seem to be, yes. So I'm not 100% sure on that. And you mentioned just moments ago across some of these areas, we are seeing again possible damage with very high wind gusts, again up to about 70 miles per hour. So again, possible of damage. Again, some of the combined conditions across these areas, as you mentioned, Jake. Again, that warrants again calls for suspicious or possible damage of roofs, sidings, and trees. So again, it'll do that to roof sidings and trees. Again, not something you don't want to be out there. Again, it's possible to take that damage yourself. Certainly not something that we would recommend. Again, if you're in those areas there in the center of the storm. And Jake, we're able to find any more information on that, on what exactly we're looking at. Is that the same thing that we saw earlier?
I think so. We'll back that up a few scans
Okay, it would
and
appear so.
yeah, because if we go back, here was about an hour ago, and so here was that storm that we were showing you about 20 or 30 minutes ago. Right there was the storm. Okay, it was west of Nevada, and then it moved here, and it's kind of reconfigured a little bit, but it does appear to resemble the same. It's at least the same cell that we were looking at a few minutes ago. So yes, I think it is. And I would be concerned about a tornado right now. I think we may have a tornado. I know there's no warning yet, but I think we might have one, particularly if we look at the velocities. We have a very strong rotation over Taperville right now. I I think that we will get a tornado warning for that rotation. I can't say for sure. Obviously I'm not there. I don't know exactly what they're discussing, and they're looking at a lot more than I am. But as of right now, I believe we have at the very least a funnel cloud. I would not be surprised really if this was not on the ground east of Shell City. I think this very well may be a tornado.
Absolutely, yes.
It's
So
possible.
noticing a very and increasingly so pronounced rotation there and Taborville. You said just east of Shell City. So again, we will continue to follow that. Again, we're not on the ground there, can't see exactly what is going on, but to the best of what we can see, based on the radar, it is looking more and more like, again, more pronounced funnel, which again could become a tornado. So again, we don't have a warning in effect yet for the area, but again, it is possible, quite possible, that something like that is headed our way. Jake?
Yes, and they just put a tornado possible tag on that warning. So just as we were talking about how there might be a tornado, now there's a tornado possible tag. So again, they've also upgraded the hail threat from quarter size to ping pong ball size. So the hail threat is growing larger with this particular storm. So it's becoming an increasingly serious situation here. So the possible tornado would be near Taperville. Now it's probably in this area. Now it's probably east of there. And then this right here is where we're looking at ping pong ball size hail. That purple area in there, that's where we would be looking at that. So this goes for St. Clair County until 7 p.m. I would take shelter for a tornado if you're in Osceola. I would take shelter if you're in Lowry City. I would take shelter in a tornado safe place if I was anywhere in this area right here. Because again, there is a tornado possible tag, and I feel like that somewhere in this area or I think this area is at risk for a possible tornado, just based on the rotation that we have over Taperville from just a few minutes ago.
Absolutely, and I may have been mistaken there. Again, a brief correction on that, brief programming note on that. Of course, previously was saying Taborville. Again, Jack, you're saying Taborville, so wasn't 100% sure on that. But again, that being an area, of course, a severe thunderstorm warning in the area is pre-existing warning. We've now had a tornado possible tag attached to that, again, in effect across that region. You saw circled on your screen just moments ago for all of our viewers out there. That is, of course, the area surrounding Taperville. So, again, if you are in that area, it would be a good idea to take precautions, to take shelter in the lowest, most interior room of your house. It goes without saying, we've sort of belabored this point all throughout the broadcast, but again, not a great time to be out on the roads if you can help it. Now, as we mentioned, there is a distinction to be made between a tornado possible tag that could be attached to a severe thunderstorm warning, which is what we're seeing here. Now, again, that can become more and more serious. It can become, of course, it can become later on a tornado warning. So, again, certainly in the case of a tornado warning, you want to take shelter. But even again, in these areas where we have these pronounced rotations, these again, very substantial in the case where they might become a funnel cloud, might become a tornado. Again, still a good idea to take the precaution on that front. As we mentioned, it could even be a bit risky not to take shelter. Again, it's not quite as serious as if we're talking about a tornado warning, but again, could quite possibly become that in short order. We will continue to follow that, see exactly what happens, all that and more here on GWP Live. If you have any questions you'd like to call in and have them answered, you can do that. If you don't want to call in, you can also have them answered in the chat alongside the live chat alongside our live stream here. We will answer those. But if you'd like to call in, have those questions answered live on air, an opportunity you may not have anytime soon, so you want to take advantage of if you've got any interest in it whatsoever, or any questions, again, for your safety, for the safety of your family. Again, we may be able to answer those. Again, get you the information that you need on that. If you want to do it, the number to call is 417-448-0819. We'll answer all your burning questions related to that. Again, that number is 417-448-0819. Do not hesitate to reach out if you've got any questions, Jake.
Yes, and so yeah, make sure to reach out and we'll go ahead and we will answer any of those questions. And so, still watching this warning here for St. Clair County for the ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and again, that possible tornado. I have to say, I'm really shocked that we don't have a tornado warning for this. I mean, In my personal opinion, this deserves a tornado warning, just based on what we're looking at here. Um, I feel like that we probably have, at the very least, a funnel cloud, if not an actual tornado in progress at this point in time. So I have to say, I'm very, very shocked at this point that we don't have a warning. But just to the west of Osceola, I would take shelter now because, again, we do have a pretty strong rotation that has been recorded with this storm right in that area in St. Clair County. We just got a new update. And here is our velocity. So it looks like it weakened just a little bit. So maybe that's why we don't have a warning for this particular storm. But still, definitely some rotation in there. If we compare it to the radar scan as well, just really a perfectly shaped hook echo as well. So this is probably at the very least a funnel cloud, if not a tornado. If you are in Osceola, Missouri, I would take shelter immediately in a tornado safe place because based on what we're looking at here, unless I'm misreading something, it very well appears that we may have a tornado in progress west of Osceola. Again, I'm a little bit surprised that we do not have a tornado warning on this particular storm.
Absolutely. So somewhat surprising at this point, as you mentioned, Jake, and you've seen a fair few of these storms with the different ones you've followed, different ones you've covered. So again, what we're seeing now, it is a pronounced enough rotation. Again, likely enough that it could, in short order, as we mentioned, become a more pronounced funnel cloud, which could then turn into a tornado. Again, that's likely where things are heading by the look of it. That's certainly would be the case. So if you're in that area or if you're in Osceola, even though we don't have a tornado warning in effect yet for that area, it again still looks like it. So if you want to be on the safe side, still, yeah, you could take shelter. Again, lowest, most interior room of a home or building. I think it goes without saying. Again, I might have a bit of a cheese craving at this point, but certainly not the best time to be going to the Osceola cheese factory. Jake?
Yes, you might want to wait on that just a little bit longer. And we just got a tornado warning for this storm. There we go. I have been waiting for that to happen because that was okay. Yes, tornado warning issued for St. Clair County. Not that I want this, but I feel like that it needs one. Tornado warning issued for St. Clair County at 6:19 p.m. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 10 miles east of Shell City or 10 miles northeast of El Dorado Springs, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Tornado and ping pong ball size hail is going to be the impacts. Locations impacted include Truman Lake, Osceola, Lowry City, as well as Johnson City, Harper as well. And Taperville is also under this tornado warning, although the storm has already moved through there. So again, this goes for St. Clair County until 7 p.m. Newly issued tornado warning. Again, we've been looking at this for quite some time, and it's looked a little bit on the stronger side. And so now we do have a little bit of that pretty strong rotation. Again, I think there is a possibility that we do have a tornado with this particular storm. Also, at the same time that that warning was issued, we had a new tornado warning issued for a different storm. So let's go ahead and get you up to speed. So there's the tornado warning. So there it is, the red box right here for Osceola, Lowry City, just to the east of Taperville. There's the rotation. It's moving northeast. It looks like it's going to move, or let's see, it's moving. Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to get that movement here. Okay, it was also the hail threat was just upgraded. Now we're looking at the possibility of lime size hail. So we're looking at a considerable threat when it comes to hail as well as that tornado. So there it is right there. There's the possible tornado, and it's moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So again, this is going to be the path on the storm here, likely passing near Lowry City, if not over Lowry City. And then we're looking at around Osceola as well. So that tornado warning goes for St. Clair County until 7 p.m. And then also, we just had a tornado warning issued for Bates County. This goes in effect until 6:45. At 6:21 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over the Hume area, so right in here, and or 9 miles northwest of Rich Hill. 9 miles northwest of Rich Hill is Hume. Okay, that's odd. And moving east at 60 miles per hour. Okay, so this is Let's see, I think that placement, so it's kind of in this area, but again, I think this is the area that has the most definite rotation. So the rotation does not appear to be as strong with this warning, but still, you'll want to make sure to take shelter. This goes for Interstate 49 between mile markers 119 and 135. Locations impacted include Butler, Rich Hill, or Hume, excuse me, Butler, Rich Hill, and Hume are under this tornado warning until 6:45. So, tornado warning for both Bates and St. Clair County. We've got rotation spotted with both of those. The St. Clair one, the rotation is just to the west of Lowry City and Osceola. As far as the Bates County one, rotation to the west of Interstate 49, west of Rich Hill.
Absolutely. So, a tornado warning issued just moments ago for the areas, again, that affecting cities Butler, Rich Hill, Hume. Again, some of those areas affected. So, again, if you are in any of those areas, you want to take shelter in the lowest, most interior room of your home and building. We mentioned, again, a couple of very recently issued tornado warnings. So, again, if you are in any of these areas, of course, as we mentioned, Bates County, St. Clair County. Again, these areas affected by these tornado warnings. So again, if you are in these areas at this point, especially you want to take shelter. Again, another threat we mentioned a moments ago, again, was decently large to begin with. Again, capable of damage to vehicle structures. Again, different things could be dented. Again, with this hail coming down. Again, now that has been elevated to lime size hail. And again, when we talked about different things, these areas affected by these warnings, affected by, of course, Osceola being one of those areas. Again, a lime size hail. Again, that doesn't mean it's time to go out and grab your cherry limeade, go to the Osceola cheese factory. Again, you'll have to suppress that cheese craving, that cherry limeade craving at this point for your own safety. Please, by all means, we can hardly wait either. But again, hold off on it for the sake of your own safety. We promise it can wait. Jake?
Yes, you certainly will want to wait for that, and it will be worth it. As you mentioned, it'll just make you more excited for when you are able to go to the cheese factory. It'll make it more worth it that you were able to wait for it. So again, still watching those two rotations across St. Clair and Bates County. Also, I thought I would just highlight the areas that we saw, and then I don't actually have an exact location for the, but we had a tornado somewhere in this circle area. So we had a tornado near Pleasanton earlier this week. This was on Monday. And then this area, so this is where our two tornadoes were, these two dots right here. That represents the two EF0 and EF1 tornadoes that we had on Wednesday. So just thought I would go ahead and point those out here. But again, the current ones that we're watching are here in the blue. A little bit of rotation right in there, starting to move towards the northeast. So tornado warning on that until 6:45. Let me just get a quick update here on both of the warnings. See if we have anything new. Okay, at 6:28, a severe thunderstorm was located near Rich Hill. So the rotation has, let's go ahead and see. There's our rotation for that one. So we just got a new scan on the velocity. So here's our rotation for the Bates County tornado, and it was moving east at 55 miles per hour. So that storm has slowed down just a little bit. And then we also still have the possibility of 2-inch hail at 6:25. The thunderstorm was located 8 miles west of Osceola, which is about right here. So that's our current location of the two storms that may be producing a tornado. That right there, just to the west of Lowry City and Osceola, here's Missouri State Highway 13. If you are anywhere between Lowry City and Osceola and you are on Missouri State Highway 13, then you will want to get away from that area as quickly as possible. If you are closer to Lowry City, you'll want to drive north as quickly as possible. If you're closer to Osceola, you'll want to drive to the south along Missouri State Highway 13. So those areas, that's where we're dealing with the potential of some problems there. So we've got that. Let's go ahead, and we've kind of been looking at these warnings for just a little while. So let's get an update on some other things going on. Just a few minutes ago, we also hit 6:30, so we're now at the bottom of the hour. Let's see what we're dealing with. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit messy on the radar. These are not tornado warnings. These are flash flood warnings in Fort Scott and Nevada. These two are tornado warnings. So, slightly different color of red. It's kind of hard to tell when you're looking at it here. That's a tornado warning. That's a tornado warning. These are not tornado warnings. Those are flash flood warnings. But we are still getting some strong thunderstorms that are going to be moving into Nevada very soon. So I know we already had some storms. Well, we have that next line of storms that's going to be moving in very soon across the Nevada area. So you'll want to make sure to be ready for that. Then we've got the severe thunderstorm warning to our north of the tornado warning. This goes for Bates and Henry counties till 6:45. We're looking at 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and penny-size hail. Um, we have multiple reports of power lines down. Power outages have also been reported in Bates County, so we just got some new storm reports. So, observed wind threat. So, 60-mile-per-hour winds have been recorded. This is between Interstate 40, or this is on Interstate 49 between mile markers 118 and 146. So, if you're not dealing with that tornado that's near Rich Hill, then you might be dealing with some 60-mile-per-hour winds. So make sure to take shelter. And again, we are dealing with, or we have been dealing with some power outages with these particular storms here. Also, brand new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for, let's see, this is for Clinton. This goes for Cass, Henry, and Bates County until 7:15. At 6:29 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 6 miles northeast of Adrian to Lowry City, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roof sidings and trees are going to be possible. There is a tornado possible tag with this new severe thunderstorm warning that is in Henry County. Locations impacted include Clinton, Windsor, Yurch, Calhoun, Deepwater, Montrose, Creighton, as well as Truman Lake. These are the same areas that already dealt with the tornado literally just 48 hours ago. And now, around the same time of day that we had the tornado in Clinton on Wednesday, we're now dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning that does have a tornado possible tag moving into the Clinton area. So that is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for the Clinton area. And so let's go ahead and get a quick update here on these. Okay, first thing we're going to do is let's zoom out regionally. We do have some good news. Are Kansas City, Lee Summit, Warrensburg, all of those areas that were under those severe thunderstorm warnings, those have now all expired. So that is some good news. We're no longer looking at a severe weather threat, at least right now, across this area. So that's some good news. Kansas City, you're still under a flash flood warning, but all of your storms have moved out of there. Lee Summit, you're good. Warrensburg, you're good. Sedalia, you're good. Marshall, which is just around here, you're good. So looking pretty good here across northwestern Missouri at this point in time. Interstate 70 is looking pretty good as well. So, really, right now, the worst of our storms are across our western counties here, including a couple of tornado warnings that remain in effect across Bates and St. Clair counties. But everywhere else is currently in the clear at this point in time.
Absolutely, check. Yes, things appear to be in the clear, clearing up a bit at this point in time outside of the warnings in Bates and St. Clair County. Again, in those areas, again, tornado warnings still in effect. So if you are still in those areas, you still want to take shelter, take the appropriate precautions in the lowest, most interior room of your home or building. But beyond that, things appear to be settling down. Also, you made an important distinction a few moments ago on the radar picture here for the viewers at home who are looking. Of course, you can direct your attention to the screen. Of course, some of the red patches here, the brighter red patches, again, a couple of boxes there. Those indicate the tornado warnings in effect. Now, the areas further down a bit where we looked at these darker red boxes, of course, affecting Nevada, Fort Scott areas, those are flooding warnings, severe flooding warnings. So a different thing, not quite as severe as a tornado warning. So fortunately, in terms of our local listening area, we're not seeing tornado warnings at this point. Again, we're seeing severe flooding, which still is a threat. Again, we're seeing a lot of precipitation naturally. We can have flooded roadways and different things like that, which, as we mentioned moments ago, with this flooding, with this flash flooding, in the case of events like this, again, we've seen so many times people in their vehicles, they say, oh, my vehicle is tough. It's high enough hydroplaning. What is that? And never going to happen to me. But, real shocker, it does happen to them. And that's not something that you want to happen. It really can be deadly. So, again, if you've got to do it, if there's somewhere that you've just urgently got to get to, again, certainly wouldn't recommend all the places you might go to, Osceola Cheese Factory, anything like that. Again, any of these areas, Bates, St. Clair County, wouldn't recommend going to either of those places. Certainly, and if you can help it, just wouldn't recommend getting out at this point. But again, if it's the case where you see these flooded roadways, again, you want to consider taking a different route to avoid those floodwaters entirely, because that can be a real risk. Jake?
Yes. Yeah. So again, but just kind of a quick correction on that. We do still have tornado warnings in the local area. So not all of these are flash flood warnings, but a couple of those the one in Vernon County is, but the other ones are tornado warnings. And so we just wanted to update you on that rotation that we have within the two tornado warnings. So it looks like we've got a little bit of a bow echo here. So some straight line winds of up to 60 mile per hour or up to 60 mile per hour winds possible with that Boeing segment on the eastern side of Interstate 49, just to the east of Butler and Ridge Hill. A little bit of rotation on the east side of Ridge Hill and Butler, and so that is why tornado warning remains in effect there until 6:45. And then we do still have on the other warning for St. Clair a tighter couplet across just to the northeast of Osceola, and so that's why we do have that tornado warning that remains in effect for northeastern St. Clair County along Highway 13. So again, we're also looking at the possibility of 2-inch hail as well. And so if we go over to the base, or if we go over to the radar here. So again, here's where we've got that Boeing segment where we're going to be dealing with some of the stronger storms here. The radar update at mid motion. So that's why I adjusted it, because it updated mid while I was transitioning over. And so here's our possible tornado. It's just to the west of Jackson, Missouri, now east of Lowry City. So it's already went through Highway 13. Again, at this point in time, we don't have any confirmation of whether or not this is on the ground, but it is very well possible that it could be. And so, again, that's why you'll want to make sure to take shelter. And then we also have we also have a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning for Henry County in the Clinton area. And this is where we have a tornado possible tag. So let's go ahead and we'll show you the velocities here.
Absolutely. Just looking at some of the velocities there and some of the wind speeds we're looking at for the area. So an important thing to know, Jake. Any more information on that?
Yeah, so when we look here at the velocity, there's a couple areas that I'm watching. This is, of course, the one for St. Clair. And then here is our Henry Bates County storm. We've got a little bit of rotation on the northern side of this tornado warning right now. So that's something that we want to pay close attention to. If we pair that up with our reflectivity here. So again, this area right here, I think there's a little bit of rotation here and then a little bit of rotation here. So that's why we have a tornado possible tag for the warning that goes for Clinton. So the Clinton severe thunderstorm warning that goes for Cass and Henry counties does have a tornado possible tag. And again, it has to do with the fact that we have rotation from that storm that's crossing over from Bates County into Henry County. So that is why we have a tornado possible tag associated with that particular warning. So,
Absolutely. Tornado possible tag associated with that particular warning. So again, we mentioned an important distinction between a tornado possible tag, which of course attached to, in this case, severe thunderstorm warning was already in effect. Later, again, as he just moments ago had this tornado possible tag attached to it. Again, that is different from a tornado warning, not quite as serious, not quite as severe, but again, still certainly could become something. Again, it is there for a reason. It is a serious risk and could become much more so, Jake.
Yes, and so this perfectly also lines up with the fact that the Storm Prediction Center put out a mesoscale discussion for our western counties. And in their description, they said organizing thunderstorm cluster with increasing potential for damaging wind gusts and brief tornadoes through 6 to 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So the Storm Prediction Center actually highlighted the fact that this entire area would be at risk. In fact, let me just go ahead and let's show you that here. So let's go to their mesoscale discussion that said that here. This gives us an idea of what the Storm Prediction Center is looking at. And, well, that's not what they're looking at. Um,
Absolutely. Now, some important clarification on that, Jake, for the folks at home who may not be aware of exactly what it is. What is a mesoscale discussion?
Yes, and so a mesoscale discussion is really just kind of a message that the Storm Prediction Center is putting out on a particular area of thunderstorms that looks severe. And so what they'll do here is they will put out like the strongest impacts that would be possible in the given area. So you'll notice for the area that we're highlighted in, so here's our viewing area, by the way, just to give you an idea of where we're at on this map. This is our viewing area right here. And so, what we're looking at here is winds up to 80 miles per hour, tornadoes upwards of EF2. So we're looking at weak to slightly moderately strong tornadoes, and then we're looking at up to golf ball size hail. So as we mentioned, hail is going to become less of a concern as these storms continue to move towards the east. If we go back to um, if we go back to the severe weather risk for today, let's clear that out. You'll notice that the hail threat, I'll zoom in on it here, the hail threat was mainly for Kansas and Oklahoma, right in here. This area is where we're looking at potentially hail anywhere from 3.5 to 4 inches in diameter. So up to softball size hail in this area. But you'll notice then we have another hatched area right here that includes our northwestern counties, specifically this kind of triangle area. And this is where we're looking at hail anywhere from 2 to 3 inches in diameter. But then once these storms move east in the next couple of hours, our hail is going to go down to an inch in diameter. So basically, what all of this means is that as we go through the evening, what we're going to notice, and we've already seen this in the most recent hours here, where we've noticed that the hail threat has decreased a little bit. Whoops. Our hail threat has decreased just a little bit because now we're looking at more of a cluster of thunderstorms producing straight line winds instead of what we were dealing with previously, where we had instead of so now we're dealing with straight line winds instead of large hail is essentially what we're dealing with because we're now dealing with more of a complex of thunderstorms than those supercells, that's what supports hail. And so now that we're seeing less storms that are supercell nature, our hail threat has gone down. That's basically what's happened here with that. And okay, we just got a brand new tornado warning in the area. So let's go ahead and show you that one. So this is the same area that we were showing you a minute ago. So St. Clair County. St. Clair County is still under a tornado warning until 7 p.m. There's been quite a bit of rotation in the velocities with that. But now we had a new warning that was issued just to the east of there. So this is an extension off of the previous warning. And this tornado warning goes for Benton County in Missouri until 7:30 p.m. At 6:41 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles east of Lowry City or 14 miles southwest of Warsaw, moving northeast 45 miles per hour. Hazards include a tornado, hence tornado warning, and then ping pong ball size hail. Locations under this warning in Benton County include Truman Lake, as well as their state park, Warsaw, as well as Lakeview Heights, as well as a few other locations. So again, take cover now, move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Again, the key there is sturdy building. So make sure to find a sturdy building immediately because we are dealing with a tornado coming your way there in Benton County across Missouri. This is, okay, so this is US 65. Here's US 54. And so this storm is to the north of US 54 in Benton County along US 65. That's the area at risk for this particular storm here. Again, take shelter immediately because we are looking at a ping pong ball size hail and again, the possibility of a tornado. Let's go ahead and look at the velocities. Again, this is an extension off of a previous warning. And we're still seeing some rotation in there just to the north of Wisdom. And then we've got US 65 around the Warsaw area that's going to be in the path of this storm next. So in this area, a little bit of rotation that's going to continue moving northeast towards Warsaw along US 65. Newly issued tornado warning for Benton County until 7:30 p.m. And okay. The tornado warning in Bates County has expired, so that is good. Let's show you that here. So yeah, here was Bates County. We were dealing with a warning that has now expired. We are still watching that severe thunderstorm warning for Cass, Henry, and Bates County until 7:15. There is still a tornado possible tag. So even though we don't have the tornado warning anymore, there is still a low risk of a tornado. Currently, our rotation would be looks like we are just to the southwest of Clinton is where that is located at right now. Of course, Clinton has already been through a tornado this week, but now we're looking at the possibility of some more rotation associated with this severe thunderstorm warning in that area.
Absolutely, yes, Jake. Some issues associated with that severe thunderstorm warning in that area. Of course, as we mentioned, the tornado warning for the Bates County area just dropped moments ago. So, again, things appear to be settling down a little bit in that area. That's not to say that they're not serious again all of a sudden, but again, certainly they seem to be beginning to settle down finally. Jake, anything else on that?
Not on that one, but we did have a new severe thunderstorm warning issued where you're located at there. This goes for Cedar, St. Clair, and Vernon counties until 7:30 p.m. At 6:47 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Shell City to near Walker to near Nevada to 10 miles east of Fort Scott, moving east at 55 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is not confirmed. This is a radar indicated threat. Impacts include hail damage to vehicles and wind damage to roof sidings and trees. Locations impacted include Nevada, El Dorado Springs, Appleton City, Walker, Shell City, Moundville, Milo, Deerfield, Johnson City, Cedar Springs, as well. So you'll want to move inside to a sturdy structure as quickly as possible. This is just to the west of our area that is under the tornado warning. So that secondary complex that's on the western side, that's the one that has this newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that does include a few of our counties here. And so let's see if we can get that area. There it is. So here's where that warning is at. So again, the new warning goes for Taperville, Shell City, Harwood, El Dorado Springs, Walker, Nevada, Moundville, Bernal, and Deerfield. So those areas now under a severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds until 7:30 p.m.
Absolutely. So, of course, just moments ago, a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for our local listening area. So, again, we will continue to cover that, especially here in our local listening area, as to what exactly happens. Again, the severity of what exactly is going on. Now, again, going on to and in terms of what exactly is expected with this severe thunderstorm warning, again, kind of what's standard and particularly to here in our area, Jake, what are we expecting to see of that?
Out of this particular storm here.
Yes, yes, this particular storm, this new one that was just released again immediately here in our area, the one affecting Vernon County.
Yeah, so we're looking at the possibility of some 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-size hail. So this is on the lower end of the threat level, but still something that we want to take seriously. The good news is there's no tornado possible tag with this one, so that of course is good. Um, You'll notice here that we still have not had that new warning. There it is. Okay. So there's the warning issued. Again, at Ada Moundville, looking at some pretty strong winds in there. Um, let's see. Any new updates for us there in Nevada where you're currently located at? Have you noticed the conditions deteriorating where you're at?
No, not noticeably, Jake. Again, not nearly as severe sounding as what it was at one point later tonight. Again, previously, again, any of the folks here might have noticed or might have been listening. I mentioned there was some lightning that flashed through the studio. Again, there's still a bit of that. Again, still certainly severe thunderstorm. Of course, you can certainly hear that thunder. Certainly is coming down is noticeable. You can hear it here in the studio. Not sure if any of that is coming out in the audio on the other end for the folks at home. But again, just a few of the noticeable effects of that. But in terms of anything more severe than that, and any of our viewers can see. Again, nothing's crashed through the window, at least not quite yet, and thankfully so, because as many times as many of the crazy things have happened here on GWP, on the podcast and whatnot, other things we've had crash through this window. Well, it's a wonder we haven't had something come through here yet. So again, thankfully, nothing too severe here yet. Could be a lot worse. Jake.
Yeah, well, I think as long as we don't start recording for the podcast, I think we'll be fine with anything crashing through. But
Yeah,
if we
yeah, but as
started
soon as we
recording a
start recording for the
podcast, yeah,
podcast,
that
right,
would be
that would become a
game
lot
over.
more severe. Just have a whole ton of things crashing through the window.
Yes, that's where we're at on that at this time. So certainly good that we haven't had anything crash through there, at least from these storms, at least. But not to say that we've never had anything crash through, because, well, I think everybody knows the story about that. And if you
Right, and if you
don't,
don't, well, you're missing out. You'll have
yeah,
to
and then
check
you might
out
as well
previous
check in on
episodes.
that. Not necessarily right now, but after this live stream, you'll want to check out that video here where, wow, which one? Well, I don't know. Take your pick. We've had it happen multiple
Yeah, I might have to
times.
check out all of them, figure out which one. Yes, but Jake, as you mentioned, and of course, just moments ago, you asked me just a little bit ago how the conditions were. Things appear to have picked back up a bit again. The thunder, noticeably, the rain is coming down. And it's pouring noticeably harder than what it was just a few moments ago when you asked me. So things are picking up just a little bit. Jake, anything else on that or some of the other storms that were following?
Yeah, I will say that things have picked up here just a little bit as well. The rain has started falling, and I think we've had a few flashes of lightning. The wind has kind of been strong all day, so not really a noticeable change, but still something that we're watching here also. So let's see. I just wanted to give an update on our tornado warning that is still in effect for Benton County until 7:30. Let's look at that rotation. Yeah, let's go ahead and see here. Might have to do some playing around here with the velocities to see exactly which one is close to the radar site. Let's check out Springfield's. All right. Looks like we're on the south side of Warsaw. That appears to be where our rotation is with our tornado warning. So again, if you are in Benton County, Missouri, take shelter because you are still under this warning until 7:30 p.m. The rotation appears to be on the southern end of that. And also, we do still have that tornado warning for St. Clair County, but it will be expiring at 7 p.m. We just got word from the National Weather Service. They are going to let that storm expire, or they're going to let that warning rather expire. That being said, there is still a severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect until 7:30 across that same area for the storm out to the west. So Even though you may have come out of your safe place in St. Clair County because that storm has moved out, there's another one right behind it that's going to be moving in very soon. And this particular warning is going to pack 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail with it. That warning goes for Cedar, St. Clair, and Vernon counties until 7:30. And so, of course, this is the area that we're talking about that was just affected by the tornado warning. Well, now we're looking at another storm. We talked about Taperville is where the rotation was first identified. And then since then, rotation was, it went from Taperville through let me try that again. Taperville, then it went just to the south of Lowry City, then it was near Jackson, and then now it's to the south of Warsaw. So that's been the projection on this storm. And then now we're dealing with another storm that's coming in less than an hour later across that same area there in Taperville. So again, some pretty strong winds and some hail are going to be possible in some of the same areas in St. Clair County that were just affected. And then now we're looking at Vernon County as well, that's going to be under that risk. Even parts of Cedar County and then El Dorado Springs, you're also included under this warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-size hail. We've got some of that hail in this region around Shell City on the north side of Harwood and Walker. So Walker, strong winds are moving in. Nevada, Mountainville, and Bernal, all of you are about to be hit by this storm as well. Again, some pretty strong winds are going to be possible with this particular warning that remains in effect until 7:30 p.m. So 7:30 p.m., 60-mile-per-hour winds and hail are going to be possible. I guess the only good news that we have is that these storms are going to be clearing out behind these warnings. And then once that does happen, just a few showers are going to be left on the backside. But as far as our severe weather threat, let me go ahead and highlight the areas in which we're done with the severe weather. So if you're anywhere in my circle needs to be redrawn. um, if you're anywhere in this area, you are safe for severe weather tonight. Your severe weather threat is your severe weather threat. Oh, what happened? Your severe weather threat is over. There we go. Your severe weather threat is over if you're anywhere in this blue circled area. So you are done you're not over. You're not totally done. The severe threat is over. So we're done with the severe weather threat. If you're anywhere in this blue area, you are safe and you are good to go for the evening. Your severe threat is done for tonight. If you're anywhere east if you're anywhere east or south of this blue area, then you still are in line for tonight's severe weather threat. All
Oh,
right.
right, absolutely. Fortunate news for the people in the Kansas City and surrounding areas there, and it would appear that I'm now over. So again, thanks for the information on that, Jake. Again, you're able to finally figure out how to use that digital pen. And on that note, we thank you all for bearing with us tonight throughout all of these technical difficulties, being it figuring out the pen highlighter thing on the screen, all of that. Again, some of that disconnections we've had due to the satellite connection tonight. And naturally, that is something that can be quite difficult in the case of severe weather. Again, that can interfere with our satellite signals. So we thank you all for your patience on that. And again, hopefully we've been of some use to especially the areas receiving some of the most severe weather there. So, Jake, you mentioned just moments ago that tornado warning that was in effect for St. Clair County is set to expire in just a few moments here at 7:30. And the National Weather Service, they've come out, they've said that they are going to allow it to expire. Now, that said, another important distinction on that front, they have, again, in that area coming right up, they have a severe thunderstorm warning, and it is possible that things flare back up again. Many of the severe thunderstorm warnings we've already covered throughout the night have had tornado possible tags, meaning they've had them added to these severe thunderstorm warnings, meaning that they become more severe. And it is possible that it flares up. Again, the pattern that we're following now would suggest otherwise, that it's LA's beginning to settle down. It's not gone. There's still a severe storm warning in the area. So again, you want to take the appropriate precautions on that front. But fortunately, it's not quite as severe as what it has been, Jake.
Yes, yeah, so that is good, but again, a few new warnings have been issued, and so we still got to watch that severe threat for the areas that we did not circle. All right. Well, it is now the top of the hour, or just a little bit past the top of the hour here on GWP Live's severe weather coverage. So it is 7 p.m. on Friday, April 17th, 2026. So far, it's been the most active week that we've had for severe weather, and tonight has been the most active day of that week here. So again, you are listening to GWP right there. GWP right there on Isaac's blue screen, or green screen that is blue for GWP right behind you. And so, again, you're listening to GWP Live. We're continuing to update you on everything that you need to know about the severe storms. Let me stop trying to use this pen and let me actually get to showing you what's going on here. So let's go back to the radar here. There we go. Now the pin's off. Still got that tornado warning in effect here. On a more serious note, that remains in effect for Benton County until 7:30 p.m. I will say the positive news about this is, if there is some with tornadoes, well, now that I say that, of course, now it does appear that we have seen a little bit of a tightening with that couplet. So, potential rotation around here in this area just to the southeast of Warsaw. So again, Warsaw still under this tornado warning. Here's the latest update at 7:01 p.m. So just 3 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Warsaw, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. Hazards include a tornado, of course, and then half-dollar size hail. So the hail threat has decreased a little bit, but we're still looking at some hail and the possibility of a tornado. We also just had a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued, and that goes for Hickory, Benton, and St. Clair counties. That goes until 7:30 p.m. And at 6:55 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles southeast of Appleton City, or 17 miles north of El Dorado Springs, moving east at 60 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. There is also a tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warning. So let's go ahead and show you that new warning. Here's the new warning that was issued. It is right here. Here's that new severe thunderstorm warning that I was just talking about. Right there. Well, sort of in that area. Try a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this is for Hickory, Benton, and St. Clair counties, 7:30. There is a tornado possible tag. So let's go ahead and move over to the velocities and see what we're looking at. So we've got potential rotation. It looks like right here there might be some rotation. And then we've got some straight line winds in this area. Okay, let's go ahead, and we've got that on Smart Pen. That's why that's happening. Okay, so there's our straight line winds. Again, a little bit of rotation right here in this area. And so that's why we have that tornado possible tag. So we've also got a tornado possible tag for this warning as well. So this area is also under a severe thunderstorm warning. This one right here goes until 7:15, and then this general area of rotation, let me clear some of that out here. This is the general area where we're looking at a possible tornado. Again, it's a very low threat at this point in time. Our main threat is going to be those 60-mile-per-hour winds, but we do have a tornado possible tag with that storm as well. So tornado possible tag for both this warning and this warning. This is the main area of concern. It's right along this line that we're tracking. And then again, we're looking at this Boeing segment in here, and that's where we're looking at some straight line winds possible. That is a different storm from the one that is causing this rotation right here on the velocities. This is actually a warning that is tornado warned, and that warning goes for the Warsaw area in Benton County, and that remains in effect until 7:30. And so if we put that all into perspective here, then you'll notice that So if we put that into perspective, here's the areas that we're looking at. There's our potential tornado, our possible tornado. There's our area that has the higher risk of the tornado. And then here's where we're looking at straight line winds. So that's what we're dealing with here. So we've got two different storms. We've got this individual cell along US 65 in the Warsaw area. And then we've got some straight line winds to the west of the Harry S. Truman Reservoir, where we're looking at some strong winds and a possible tornado with that storm.
Absolutely. Yes, Jake, some major developments on that. Of course, you mentioned a couple of these severe thunderstorm warnings you marked on the map just moments ago after we were able to figure out a couple of those technical difficulties with that pen. Again, with that smart pen being just a bit difficult. Again, I wonder why they call it a smart pen, but world may never know, I suppose. But again, a couple of those severe thunderstorm warnings just moments ago had tornado possible tags added. So again, that is a bit of an increase in severity. Again, possible that those form into a tornado. So we will continue to watch those. Again, as we mentioned, gust of wind up to 60 miles per hour. Again, is kind of what we're looking at in the area. Again, we're seeing much of that. Again, things have been continuing to pour down right here in our local listening and viewing area here in Nevada, Missouri. Also, we mentioned, of course, I mentioned throughout the night the possibility of hail. And Jake, I may be mistaken, but because again, there's been a lot, and again, at the time of video, again, some of the folks may have noticed that, in the window, some of the precipitation going on in the background. It's not coming down quite as hard as it was at the moment. But and I may be mistaken here, but again, we've talked a bit about hail, heard a bit of clacking out there. Again, so a lot going on, though. Again, possibly a bit of hail here as well. Jake, any other major new developments?
Yeah, so we got a new scan on the radar, and so here's where we're looking at a little bit of rotation, as we mentioned in Clinton, Missouri. So we have to watch that. There's a tornado possible tag, and this is the area on the velocities where we're seeing that. But regardless, we're looking at some strong straight line winds possible, and even some large hail. We've got kind of a hail core in this area where we've got some purple showing up, so we need to watch that. And then there's the area where we're still seeing rotation on the Benton County tornado warnings. That's what we're looking at right here. And let's go ahead and see. So we still got a severe thunderstorm warning for Vernon County as well. So Nevada currently going through some pretty strong storms, 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter size hail. This goes until 7:30 p.m. So we're still watching that. And we just had a brand new tornado warning issued for the same area that got hit 48 hours ago. And that includes Henry County once again under another tornado warning this week. Henry County is now under a tornado warning until 7:30 p.m. At 7:05 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Deepwater, or 9 miles south of Clinton, moving northeast at 60, or moving east rather, at 60 miles per hour. This is a radar indicated threat. Locations impacted include Deepwater, Cole, Brownington, Tightwad, and Truman Lake. So there's Tightwad. Did not know that that was the name of a city in Missouri. Let's look here at the velocity, and you'll notice that we have a little bit of rotation on the south side of Clinton. So our tornado that we had earlier this week was kind of right around Clinton. And so it's actually two different tornadoes, as we mentioned earlier. There was one south of the city, and then there was one kind of to the north of the city. But anyways, that's what we had earlier this week. Now we're looking at rotation on the south side of Clinton in southeastern Henry County. And so that's where we could be looking at a tornado. And then, of course, we've also got rotation to the southeast of Warsaw with a completely different storm. So two tornado warnings. One is in southeast Henry County, just to the south of Clinton. And then the other one is just to the east of Warsaw in Benton County, Missouri.
Absolutely, yes, Jake. Some major developments on that. The tornado warning ongoing, of course, there in Benton County, Missouri. A number of other warnings in effect, a couple of other severe thunderstorm warnings. Our county, of course, here in our local listening and viewing area, Nevada, Missouri, still under a severe thunderstorm warning. Some of the effects of that we're seeing, as we mentioned, are very high wind speeds, some of those wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So we're certainly seeing that here in our local area. A lot of precipitation, again, a lot of that coming down. Again, we've seen throughout the night a number of flooding warnings, so certainly quite possible as much rain as we're seeing. There are a number of risks associated with that flooding along roadways. You want to avoid that because there always is the possibility of hydroplaning. We've seen so many times these people with the flooded roadways, they're bound and determined to get where they're going. They see these flooded roadways and think, "Oh, my vehicle is tough. Oh, it's high enough. It'll be fine. We'll just go right through there." And what do you know? They weren't. So again, if there's somewhere that you need to get, you may consider taking a different route. But again, during the severe storms, things of these sorts, of course, risks are elevated. Again, with as much precipitation as we're seeing, all that's coming down, the visibility, road conditions are definitely impacted. They're definitely compromised by that. And even if you're not concerned about it personally, you say, "Oh, I'm a good driver." Well, others on the roads may not be. They might be as prepared for it, might not be as prepared as they think that they are. So there are some serious risks there that you want to consider. Certainly, with all that is going on, as we mentioned, kind of around the Kansas City area, the storms in that area seem to have largely run their course. They seem to be kind of out of the red, kind of in the safe for the night. But again, moving in kind of closer to our immediate local listening area. There's a bit more to it. So, a number of storms that we are still following. Jake, have there been any new developments? Yes, it's over again, as you mentioned, or it is clear. Again, moments ago, we had the circle around that said over. And of course, just a few moments later, that circle ended up over my head, said over again. Sort of would go without saying. But again, yes, this magic pen, a wonderful tool, a smart pen, wouldn't call it that exactly. But again, we'll continue to use that again, as we mentioned, with these technologies. We thank you all for bearing with us throughout the night with all of the different, numerous technical difficulties that we have experienced, some of the disconnections. Again, any of the folks at home who may be in some of these storm areas, especially the ones we mentioned, Benton County, Missouri, still has a tornado warning in effect. That's some of the most severe in our kind of most immediate region or closest to it in terms of what we're looking at. But again, anywhere you may be, and again, in spite of any technical difficulties, well, again, beyond satellite connections and different things, does not rely on that. If you want to call in, you can always still do that at 417-448-0819 with any of those burning questions about the severe weather in your area. Again, that number is 417-448-0819. Don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be glad to answer your questions. If you'd like to go elsewhere, wouldn't like to have those answered live on air, you can also put those questions in the live chat alongside the live stream here. Just a couple of great opportunities to have all those questions answered. Jake?
Yes, and so again, you'll want to make sure to do that if you have any questions for us to answer, as you mentioned. So call in for that number. But if you are in this blue circle, you might not need to call in because you already are in the clear. So again, this is the area that we're looking at that is now in the clear. Severe storms have already moved out of the area. Anywhere outside of this circle, so anywhere south, anywhere north, west, whatever, you're still in the risk for you're still in that risk. And really, wow, that was a really big flash of lightning that just came in here where I'm located at. So also this area is clear too. Yeah, this area is clear also. But just wanted to clarify, it's not, this is the clear area in our viewing area. These counties outside of our viewing area are also clear at this point in time as well. Okay, we just had a few new tornado warnings that came in to us. So let's go ahead and get up to speed on the new warnings that we have. So, yeah, so we have a new warning that was issued. So now we actually have two overlapping warnings. And so let's get some. So here's the new warning. This one right here is new. This one is old. That one is old. This is the new warning. So the one that I have circled, here's what it says. Tornado warning for Benton County until 7:45 at 7:10 p.m. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 8 miles east of Deepwater or 10 miles southeast of Clinton, moving east at 55 miles per hour. Locations impacted include Truman Lake and the state park there, Warsaw, Lincoln, Cole Camp, Lakeview Heights, Crokerville, Zora, as well as Edmondson. So radar indicated threat, tornado warning in effect for that area until 7:45. Let's look at some velocity and see what we're experiencing. Just a minute here as we look here at velocities on this storm. So looks like, yeah, so right around the tightwad area, continuing to, let's see, is this located 8 miles east of Deepwater? So just trying to get, as we have, yeah, so that appears to be our area of rotation at this point in time, kind of on that northern end where we do have some rotation. A little bit of rotation right here as well, but really the main area is highlighted right there. So again, take shelter immediately if you are in these areas, because again, we are looking at a possible tornado right along this stretch here. If we're not dealing with the tornado, then at the very least, we are dealing with some very strong winds. As far as that other tornado that we were showing you a minute ago, that was right here, just to the south of Warsaw. So this was at 6:52. We had some rotation. Then it moved further towards the north and east, and whoops. So here's where it's at this point in time. So that rotation has weakened. So that, of course, is really good news. Okay, now we have another tornado warning that was just issued. This one is not showing up right now on the radar, but there is a new tornado warning. This goes
Okay,
for
so
Hickory, Benton, and St. Clair counties until 8 p.m. At 7:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time, severe thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes and extensive straight-line wind damage were located 8 miles east of Lowry City or 11 miles southwest of Warsaw. Okay, so we've now
yes.
got, whoops, wrong radar. Um, okay. This storm right here is now tornado warned right here. That's where we're looking at potentially a new tornado. So there's lots of different rotations. That's essentially what we're talking. That's what's happening is that we've got so many different areas of rotation that now we've got a bunch of different warnings. But we've got some right here. We've got another one kind of right in there. So lots of areas. So if you're in any of these counties right now, you want to take shelter because we are actually looking at 3 tornado warnings in Benton County right now. We've got one that goes until 7:30, one that goes until 7:45, and then one that goes until 8 o'clock. And it's all because of 3 different storms. This right here on the eastern end, this tornado is in Benton County till 7:30. That's what this warning is right here. And then we've got a new warning right here that kind of goes in this area. That one goes until 8, and then this one right here goes until 7:45. So again, a whole lot of stuff is happening here along this line right now.
Absolutely, yes, some major developments on that front. Of course, the folks at home, if you'll direct your attention to the radar picture on your screen, was on your screen just moments ago. The areas that were circled indicate some of the main areas. Again, especially if you're in those areas that were circled on your screen just moments ago, you need to take shelter. Definitely, again, the warnings, of course, in those red boxes, but again, a few different cycles. Again, we marked the individuals here with those circles, but a number of different things we will continue to follow. Some of those rotations across that region. We will continue to follow throughout the night as some of these storms go on to see exactly what happens with that. Jake?
Yeah, so again, multiple different rotating areas at this point in time. So I think this picture will give I think this radar will give a clear, excuse me, picture of what we're dealing with. This storm right here, and then it's this complex right here. That's what we're looking at right now. In fact, I'm going to narrow that in a little bit more. Okay, this storm right here, and then this line right here. That's what's prompting these tornado warnings. At this point in time, none of these warnings have actually been confirmed. We don't have any confirmed tornadoes at this time, but these are the different storms here. We've got this one further to the east, and then we've got these further to the west right now in effect.
Absolutely. So, yes, a couple of warnings there in effect. Again, serious things there. If you're in the region, you want to take the appropriate precautions. Again, especially the immediate areas we mentioned just moments ago that were circled on your screen, indicating some of those separate cycles. Again, a bit of a curve that we're following it there. Again, very prominent in this particular storm cycle that we are following. So, any of those areas you'll want to shelter. Again, take the appropriate precautions in that case. Jake?
Yes, so we've got, again, several different areas of rotation that have prompted these different warnings across the area. And so that is what we're watching for. So if you're in any of these counties that we have listed, if you're in Benton County, if you are, let's see. So we've got Benton County, St. Clair County, and Hickory County. If you are in any of those locations, take shelter immediately. Few different rotations that we're tracking with rotations embedded along this line of storms here.
Absolutely, yes. If you're in Benton, St. Clair, or Hickory County at this time, you want to take shelter on the lowest, most interior room of a home or building. If you happen, for whatever reason, to be out on the road at this point, that's not a place that you want to be. So, if you can, get to that lowest, most interior room of a home or building at this point. But again, you just want to, as quickly as possible, get to a safe low point. So, again, chances are, if there's nothing else in sight. For whatever reason, you're out on the road, out in the middle of nowhere. You want to stop, get out of your car, and get down in a ditch because realistically, that's the lowest point. Again, we mentioned some distinctions here. Of course, you've likely seen this past year. We had a movie come out about tornadoes, storms like this. Of course, Twisters, and in that, and again, many other films surrounding that, Jake, you mentioned this. They went under this overpass, and again, the notion of taking shelter there. But I understand that that isn't actually something that you ought to do in a storm like this, is it?
Yeah, it isn't. That would not be the most or the best action to do because that can actually be a more dangerous location to be at, particularly because an overpass can funnel in the wind underneath it, and then that can make the wind stronger. So it just draws in more wind. It can also be an open place for flying debris as well. So you can also be killed by flying debris, in addition to being in a wind tunnel like structure. And so they purposely went under that overpass in the middle, or an underpass, excuse me, I guess over and underpass, depending on what part of it you're talking about. But they purposely went in that underpass to highlight just how dangerous it was. One of the characters in the movie ends up dying in the first scene of the new movie because they went in an underpass. So again, you'll want to stay away from that if you are going to be, or if you're in a situation where you're out on the road and you're not able to take shelter. So, all right, so we've got some updates for you on some of the other warnings. The Vernon County warning has now expired. So, Vernon County, you are no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning. So that is the latest update. We do still have flash flood warnings for Bourbon as well as into Vernon County, but the warning that we had for Nevada, the severe thunderstorm warning for Nevada has now expired, but we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning for Cedar and St. Clair counties until 7:30 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. El Dorado Springs, Johnson City, Cedar Springs, those are the areas at risk. That one goes until 7:30, and then just to the east of that, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Hickory, Benton, and St. Clair counties until 7:30 for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail as well. That one has a tornado possible tag with it. So that is this severe thunderstorm warning right here. This warning right here until 7:30, there is a tornado possible tag, although our highest tornado risk is where we have those warnings that are currently in effect. So that is
Absolutely,
what we're
Jake.
dealing with at this point in time with our different warnings. Again, the big threat right now, if we go back to those, is the tornado possibility. We've got, again, a possible tornado. It looks like in here around the Warsaw area, possibly just west of Lincoln as well, maybe another one right there. So multiple areas of rotation at this point in time within that complex of thunderstorms here. So few tornado warnings ongoing across Benton, St. Clair, and Hickory counties. Some of those continuing either until 7:30, 7:45, or 8 o'clock, depending on which warning you are looking at.
Absolutely. So a few tornado warnings still in effect across the Benton County area there. We will continue to follow that. If, of course, you are in those areas, you want to take the appropriate precautions in the case of tornado warnings. You want to shelter in the lowest, most interior room of a home or building, and you want to do that to stay safe. Again, something we haven't mentioned throughout the night, but we mentioned on past editions of GWP Live and some of our severe weather coverage. In the case of tornadoes or tornado warnings, different things like that, you don't want to take shelter in a mobile home because they're different from an ordinary home or structure. And as much as they don't have a permanent foundation, it's much easier for those to come loose, for them to be blown away. In these cases, again, you want to get inside a sturdy structure, ideally to the lowest, most interior room. That, of course, in Benton County, Missouri, some of the most severe, but we're still looking at this point. Of course, that being the red area in the radar picture on your screen, several of those red boxes. So some of that, again, a different time set to expire for some of those different warnings across the Benton County area and the surrounding area. Now, just below that, we see a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, you mentioned, Jake, that a tornado possible tag has been attached to that, so it's possible that that's becoming more severe in terms of severity. Turning back to our local listening area back here in Vernon County, here in Nevada, Missouri, as you mentioned just a few moments ago, we had our severe thunderstorm warning dropped. So all we've got in effect for Vernon County at this point is our flash flooding warning. Now, as we mentioned throughout the night, in the case of flash flooding, again, that is the flooding that is still going on. And in the case of flooded roadways, well, certainly not something ideal if you can help it. You don't want to be driving through those. Certainly, if you can take another route, maybe the best course of action. Again, we've seen time and time again where someone's attempted to go through these floodwaters. They've said, oh, well, my vehicle's tough. It'll be fine. Hydroplaning, what's that? And what do you know? They weren't all right. So we certainly wouldn't recommend that if you can help it. But again, just a few of the latest updates on the ongoing severe weather. We will continue to cover that throughout the night here on GWP Live. We thank you all, of course, for staying tuned throughout the night, bearing with us through all these technical difficulties and whatnot, from the satellite issues to the so-called smart pen. Again, all of that and much more. We thank you all for your patience. And well, if you happen to come across and like this coverage, well, you don't have to wait for a severe weather event in the area. We do somewhat routine weather coverage, certainly, in GWP News Weekly. Comes out every Monday night. Great World Productions YouTube channel, a number of other platforms from Great World Productions. At the end of the week, we also have GWP Weekly Recap, which, by the way, we released an episode today. Again, comes out on Fridays at the end of the week, sort of a shorter version of the newscasts that we put out on Mondays, a shorter form overview, a shorter form newscast type thing to send you off into your weekend, and a great way to do it at that. So again, for all the latest in news, weather, and sports, all that and much more, you'll have to stay tuned for that. And again, all coming throughout the year. Short films, podcast episodes, many of the other productions that we have, you'll have to check it out. That is Great World Productions. Jake?
Yes, and as you mentioned, short films is one of the things that we do here. One of those will be premiering tomorrow night. Our third short film, our spring one of this year, will be premiering tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. So that'll be coming up in just about 24 hours is when that'll be happening. Less than 24 hours ago, we released our spring season finale of the podcast. So a lot of stuff going on this week between live streams and news updates and various different finales and things coming out here on the podcast. Well, it is now or now on the GWP here at Great World Productions. Well, it is now the bottom of the hour here. It is 7:30 p.m. You are listening to GWP Live's severe weather coverage. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026, and we are still tracking some ongoing storms across the region, including two tornado warnings and a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as well, which have actually just expired. So the majority of the severe thunderstorm warnings that we had just expired, and then we have a few flash flood warnings as well. So first, we'll just show you kind of a national view of what's going on here. So severe storms all the way from Oklahoma to Wisconsin. That's been what we've been dealing with. The Storm Prediction Center highlighting pretty large area for severe storms, all the way from the Texas-Mexico border to pretty much the U.S.-Canadian border. So from one end of the country to the other, that's our severe weather risk, and then we're smack in the middle of that, where we have that moderate risk for our northwestern counties, and then the rest of the viewing area is under that enhanced risk, which is a 3 out of 5 on the SPC's severe weather scale. So let's go ahead and look at some of the latest warnings that we have across the area. We've got, okay, so we've still got two tornado warnings in effect here. Okay, and then we just had so as we mentioned, all of our severe thunderstorm warnings for this area have now expired. So that's really good news. But now we have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been newly issued to the east of the area under our tornado warning. So here it is for you. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Miller, Camden, and Morgan counties until 8:15 p.m. At 7:30 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Warsaw, moving east at 55 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. This is a radar-indicated threat. There is also a tornado possible tag with this particular storm. So let's go ahead and show you the velocities, and we can see what we're dealing with here, where we're dealing with that possible rotation here. And so you might notice there's a tiny bit of rotation in that area. That was actually from an earlier storm. No longer concerned about that at this time, but we do have a little bit of rotation just to the northeast of Warsaw, and that is going to continue to be moving to the northeast. So we still have a tornado warning for Benton County until 8 o'clock, but now we have a severe thunderstorm warning that is now kind of to the east of that tornado warned area, and that goes until 8:15, and there is a tornado possible tag with that storm. Some of the areas under this new warning That would include, we've got Lake of the Ozarks, Eldon, Osage Beach, Versailles, Lake Ozark, the city, Sunrise Beach, Syracuse, as well as into Lakeside and Florence. Those areas in Missouri are under a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Again, there's also the threat that we could be dealing with a possible tornado with this storm. It's a pretty low chance, but it is still a chance nonetheless that we are dealing with out of that particular warning. Again, 60-mile-per-hour straight line winds are going to be possible right along this Boeing segment, and then we have a little bit of rotation within that leading edge of the storm, and that's the area that we're watching for the potential of some 60-mile-per-hour winds and rotations. That is what we're dealing with at this time across the area. So again, a few new warnings were issued. And let's see, we also had a flash flood warning that was just issued for St. Clair County. We've seen quite a bit of rain across this area. Let's go to rain. There it is. So flash flood warning was just issued for St. Clair County until 1:15 a.m. And so this is a radar indicated threat, but we've already seen quite a bit of rainfall across this region, and now we're looking at the possibility of flooding after the fact. So, new flooding concerns across that area. We've also still got our flash flood warnings for Nevada that remain in effect, as well as into southeastern Kansas. So, ongoing flooding potentially across Fort Scott and Nevada, where we're still dealing with heavy showers and thunderstorms. And then now St. Clair County is under that flash flood warning for the concern of some flooding that has developed very quickly across that region.
Absolutely, yes. So that area, St. Clair County, of course, we mentioned if you've been tuned in throughout the night moments ago, just later or earlier, that is tonight, we had that area under a tornado warning. Well, they're now out of that again, and the immediate area that we are looking at here, that they are under a flood warning. So again, still a serious thing there, not quite as much so as a tornado, but is a serious thing, especially for driving in the area. That can be a real risk. Some of those flooded roadways, as we've mentioned, throughout the night. So certainly something that you'll want to avoid if at all possible. Jake?
Yes, and then we also had a flash flood warning that was just issued for Benton County, which of course is the same area that's under that tornado warning. And so this goes until tomorrow morning at 1:45 a.m. for Benton counties. So again, we've just had tons of rainfall across this area. We had rainfall earlier this week. We had rain with that first storm that moved through, and then we got hit with that second one right after that. So again, we've just had lots of rainfall there in the Benton County area from these multiple rounds of storms, not only this week, but even in the last few hours. So new flash flood warning across that area until 1:15. So that's until 1:15 a.m. in the morning for into Saturday morning now that we're looking at that. Okay.
Absolutely. So,
Oh,
yes,
we just got a
Benton.
new, okay, we just had a new tornado warning issued. So we're going to get you up to speed on that here. It's for that same area that we were tracking the severe thunderstorm warning. We had just showed you this severe thunderstorm warning. Well, now we have a tornado warning that has been issued. There it is. There's our new tornado warning right there. And let's see, here's
Absolutely.
some information on this. Okay, not confirmed, but still, again, radar indicated. This is a new tornado warning for Benton, Miller, Camden, and Morgan counties until 8:15 p.m. At 7:36 p.m., severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight-line wind damage were located 8 miles south of Cole Camp or 13 miles northeast of Warsaw, moving northeast at 65 miles per hour. These storms are booking it. Tornadoes and quarter-size hail are going to be the primary hazard hazards. This is a radar indicated rotation. Locations impacted include that are under a tornado warning that need to take shelter right now. Locations included under that would be Lake of the Ozarks, Eldon, Osage Beach, Versailles, Lake Ozark Cole Camp, as well as Sunrise Beach and Lakeside and Lakeview Heights, Crokerville. So, if you are in any of those locations that we just listed off, or if you're near those areas, you need to take cover now. Move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid any windows. If you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial, sturdy structure or excuse me, closest substantial sturdy shelter, a lot of S words in there, and protect yourself from flying debris. So again, this is a brand new tornado warning that includes some more populated areas now. Now we're getting into the Lake of the Ozarks area, so a little bit more populated area, and that does include Benton, Miller, Morgan, and Camden counties. Those counties are now under a tornado warning until 8:15 p.m. Again, this is an extension of the Benton County tornado warning, and we've had a lot of rotation with this particular storm. We haven't necessarily had a tornado confirmed with this storm, but we've had some rotation now for quite a while. And we can certainly see why when we look, or when we were looking at the velocities earlier. Let's see what we've got now. Okay, so this is the area of concern right in here. Again, at the very least, we're dealing with some very strong straight line winds, but it is possible that within this line that a brief spin up is going to be possible looking at just to the southwest of Versailles. But the same straight line wind damage is going to continue to move towards the northeast, which means that Village of the Four Seasons, Lake of the Ozarks, and Eldon, you are in the path of this storm here. Again, looking at some very strong winds and possibly a tornado with this particular storm.
Absolutely. So some very strong winds, quite possibly a tornado across this particular region. Of course, a new tornado warning recently issued. Again, several of those warnings in effect across the Benton County area, which we will continue to follow throughout the night.
Okay.
Again, some of the most severe, most immediate threats we're looking at. Jake, you have a new development on that?
Yes, okay. I am now under a tornado warning as well. So here's what we're going to do for that. I have enough time where I'm located at right now. So we're just going to make a quick adjustment here. First, I'm verifying this warning before I go anywhere. I'm going to verify that it
All
is
right.
true here.
Possibly we have a new tornado warning issued in Jake's location if things are as they appear to be issued there for Columbia, Missouri. So we are double checking at the moment on that. You'll have to
Okay.
bear with us. And yes, new information on that, Jake.
Yeah, so I don't see anything right now on the radar in this
Okay.
area. So I think that might have been a false alarm, but I am still going to
Oh,
check on it here.
okay.
It's a pretty serious
Well,
notification, but not seeing any confirmation of that at this time.
right. All right. Certainly sounds like quite the serious
Okay,
notification there. So,
there it is. It is
okay.
not where I'm located at. Here's the
Okay. Good to
University
know.
of Missouri, right in here. There it is. It's located. So my location is roughly in this area. I'm not going to tell you my exact address or anything, but I'm roughly located in this area on the south side of
Right.
Columbia. The warning is down here. So
Okay,
for
so it
that
would appear
reason,
that
I
you're
will not
still
take shelter.
in the clear for now.
Okay.
Okay, good
Now
to
that I
know.
know that, now I can actually give some insight on this storm here. Just had to check on that for my own safety, but now that I know that we are good here, here is where we are located. Okay, this is for Jefferson City. So the state capital is now under a tornado warning. So newly issued tornado warning for the state capital. Let's get some new information on this new warning here. This goes for Boone, Callaway, in Cole and Montauk counties until 8:30 p.m. At 7:42 p.m., severe thunderstorms capable of producing a tornado was located over High Point or 10 miles south of California, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Hazards include a tornado and again quarter-size hail. This is a radar indicated rotation. So we have a bit of a timeline on when this storm is going to impact areas. High point is at around 7:45, so right now it's moving into the high point area. But if you're in Russellville, McGurk, in California, the storm will be around your area at 7:55. Centertown, it will move in your area around 8 p.m. Other locations that could be impacted by this storm are listed below. So we've got Elston, Marion, Hartsburg, and Guthrie. This also includes the following state parks: Jefferson Landing Historic State Park. So again, this goes for Boone, Callaway, Cole, and Montauk counties in central Missouri. Boone County is where Columbia is located at, so that is why I got the emergency alert, but it is not in Columbia's portion of Boone County, is the reason why I'm not taking shelter. So that would be the reason for that. So here is the rotation on the velocity. As of right now, it looks like we are just to the south of California, Missouri is where this would be located at. And this is going to be moving northeast. So Jefferson City, heads up, you are under this newly issued tornado warning.
Absolutely, yes. Our state capital, Jefferson City, now under a newly issued tornado warning. That is, of course, neighboring Columbia, where you are, Jake. So had to do some double checking on that. Fortunately, though, that does not apply. It is not immediately in Columbia, Missouri at this point. So fortunately, things appear to be relatively safe on your end. And for the folks out there listening, viewing, well, this just goes to show how important safety is. We, of course, have been doing this coverage throughout the night, but of course, in the event that one of these areas would come under a tornado warning, something like that, we would also shelter, again, take the appropriate precautions in that case. So again, you want to do the same as well for your own best interest, or safety, yourself and your family. If you're in any of those areas, of course, as we mentioned, one recently issued for Boone County surrounding areas there, and of course, including also Cole County, Callaway County, Montauk County, again, some of the other areas affected by this most recently issued tornado warning. Some of that's still going on in Benton County, tornado warnings there. So we will continue to follow that throughout the night. But again, you want to make sure that in your area you are taking the appropriate precautions. Jake?
Yes, yeah, you'll want to make sure to take shelter for the areas that we listed off. And so here is, I had to kind of move around the velocities a little bit to get a better look at this storm because this area is kind of in a unique spot. It's kind of in the middle of three National Weather Service areas, and so that kind of puts it in a bit of a dead zone. And so that's what we were looking at. That's why I was moving around so many different locations and everything. But I found it. Here is our rotation. This definitely could be a tornado at this point. It's to the northeast of Versailles, so a decently strong couplet with this particular storm. And so again, this goes for Boone, Callaway, Cole, and Montauk counties, and it includes Jefferson City. So there's Jefferson City, and then here's the possible tornado, and it's moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So if we were just to track this out, it would move to the south of Ashland, Missouri, and then it would move to the north of Jefferson City, which this area is not super populated. Uh, I've driven through this area a few times, of course, and the populated area kind of cuts off right in this area, and then there's still people in this area, but it's less populated in here. So that, of course, would be good news. But it would be crossing several U.S. highways, like we have U.S. 54 through here, we've got U.S. 50 through here, and then we've got U.S. 63. So multiple U.S. highways that meet up in Jefferson City would possibly be impacted by this storm. So there is our rotation just to the north of Eldon. So there's Eldon. Our rotation is just to the northwest of that. You can also think of it as just to the southwest of California. Just one moment here.
Absolutely. So new warning issued just north of Eldon, just southwest of California, Missouri. So we are continuing to follow that rotation in that region. Again, when we see these suspicious rotations, the reason we watch for these, the reason we follow these is because in the case of these rotations, it is possible that they develop into a more pronounced funnel cloud, and turn into a tornado. So that is coming into that area. So again, likely a tornado kind of into that region. Again, not far from where Jake is. So likely why he stepped away at this point, just to double check on warnings around the area. Again, if he needs to take shelter, he will take shelter. Again, in the case that the part of Boone County that is in there is truly affected by that tornado warning, well, we're going to be on the safe side, and chances are will take shelter. Though again, as long as is possible, continue to stick with you folks here. Any of the questions that you may have, you can always call in and have answered. You can also put those questions in the live chat. We will answer them to the best of our abilities. Again, as we mentioned, a couple other great places for you to tune in for weather here on GWP. You can check out the GWP News Weekly. Comes out every Monday night from Great World Productions. And then at the end of the week on Friday nights, we had one come out this night. You can check out GWP Weekly Recap, which is a sort of shorter, more condensed type of newscast. You'll have to stay tuned for that. So more weather coverage in addition to some of the news and sporting events. So a ton of great things you'll want to check out. And just looking at some of our recent headlines, again, more of this you can check out, most notably this past week and just earlier today, GWP Weekly Recap. Some of the things that we covered there, some major developments, of course, on the situation in Iran. Of course, one of the objectives of the United States in that was to open up the Strait of Hormuz. It, of course, was blocking off oil exports. Many countries across the world rely on oil from these Arab Gulf countries. And again, that was had become an issue with that strait being blocked off. So the oil couldn't be exported. Again, many places jacking up oil prices and in turn jacking up what we pay at the pump. And well, we now know that the Strait of Hormuz has been opened up, an agreement, and again, ceasefire there has been brokered. Again, there's some optimism that'll hold, but also the conflict is somewhat volatile. It is somewhat predictable to a degree, so we will continue to follow that situation. For more on that, you'll want to check out GWP News Weekly, just all sorts of major events. Have to stay tuned for all of that. One thing that we mentioned just moments ago that we have coming up from GWP is GWP, a short film that we have coming up in the spring. So you will have to stay tuned for that. Just a few of the great offerings from Great World Productions in the year ahead. That being one of the things, of course, a Great World podcast, initial things that we've done. Another great thing and check out. So just a ton of great opportunities there. Not abundantly clear where Jake is at this point. It appears that he has stepped away, likely due to a tornado warning in his area. So hopefully we will hear back from him very soon. Not clear how long that will take. We thank you all for continuing to stick with us through, again, a couple of technical difficulties that we've had tonight, a couple of satellite issues, and that so-called smart pen. So again, a number of different things there. Thank you all for your support for that. Again, any questions that you have, you can put those in the live chat. You can call into 417-448-0819 for any of your questions relating to the weather. Any of our coverage tonight, we will answer them to the best of our abilities at 417-448-0819. We would love to hear what you have to say. So, again, we mentioned just moments ago some of the tornado warnings in effect immediately, most immediately affecting us at this point. So one in Boone County, that would appear to be why Jake has stepped away for the time being. We have several different tornado warnings active across the Benton County area. So again, a number of those set to expire at different times. So if you're in the area, you want to keep up to date on that. So, and just to ensure that you are taking the appropriate precautions. And if you are in one of those areas affected by those tornado warnings, well, you want to take shelter in the lowest, most interior room of a home or building. You want to avoid mobile homes because they don't necessarily have sturdy foundations. They don't have permanent foundations. So again, they can be displaced more easily by these winds. Again, tornadoes and different things like that can even be sucked up. So that's not something that we want to happen. Many of these areas also seeing severe flooding, flash flooding going on at this time. And in the case of that, you of course want to avoid getting out on the roadways during these severe weather cycles. Really don't want that to be an issue whenever you encounter those. We've seen that many a time where people have gotten out on these flooded roadways and have said, oh, well, it's not too bad. And anyway, my vehicle is tough hydroplaning. What's that? But turns out they weren't. So you want to be on the safe side on that. And thankfully, it appears that Jake has now returned after stepping away for a brief moment, just presumably to check on the safety of things. Jake, it's good to have you back. How are things on your end?
Yeah, so we just had a new warning issued where I'm at. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to flash over to velocity and we're going to show you a couple of new things here. Um, the rotation has gotten a little bit stronger just to the west of Jefferson City. So take shelter there if you're in that area. So it appears that we may have a tornado on the ground with that particular storm. So yeah, so tornado warning remains in effect for those areas that we just listed off. That includes um, Boone, Callaway, Cole, and Montauk counties until 8:30 p.m. So again, possible tornado with that storm. And then we also still have a tornado warning in effect just to the southwest of that, and that includes Camden and Morgan counties until 8:15 under a tornado warning, radar indicated threat out of that storm as well. That includes Lake of the Ozarks, Eldon, Versailles, Lake Ozark, Sunrise Beach, and Aurora Springs. And so on the velocities, you'll see that we're looking at some straight line winds and a little bit of broad rotation. That appears to be around State Highway 5, just to the northwest of US 54. And so there it is, Village of the Four Seasons, likely getting the worst of this. And then now that is starting to move into the Jefferson City area. Okay, now we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued, but we're still trying to get some new information on that new warning. So, in the meantime, we'll go ahead and we'll do this here. You're listening to GWP Live's severe weather coverage. It's Friday, April 17th, 2026. It is now the top of the hour here. It is 8 p.m., and we are almost 3 hours into our live stream of our ongoing severe coverage. We still have lots of ongoing activity at this point in time, including 2 tornado warnings across the Lake of the Ozarks area just to the south of Interstate 70. One of those does include Boone County, which is close to where I'm at, but does not include Columbia at this point in time. But it does include the state capital, Jefferson City. So we have been tracking these storms very closely as they have continued to move further towards the south and east, this complex that has been moving through.
Absolutely, yes, Jake. Some major developments on that tornado warnings across the area. So, certainly severe weather going on in the area. And again, as we've mentioned, perhaps exhausted, it would seem the point, belabored it to a fault. Well, again, we continue to emphasize that due to the utmost importance of safety. Now, beyond the
Okay.
tornado warnings in effect, we have a number of flood warnings in effect. Again, some of the darker areas, that is what we're looking at, some severe
All
thunderstorm
right.
warnings. Of course,
Do not mean to
yes,
interrupt
Jake,
you
a
here,
new
but I am
development.
going to have to take shelter as a new warning was issued that does include my current location. I will rejoin this on my phone in a safe place when I am able to do so.
Okay, great. Absolutely.
We
Well, we
will
look
keep the
forward to
radar
hearing
up
from
so
you
that
soon.
everyone can see where the storms are at.
Absolutely. So, folks, you will have to stay tuned. In just a few moments, we will be joined back once again by co host Jacob Fulmer. He will be calling in to the show. In the meantime, though, if you have any questions that you'd like to have answered, you can call in as well. That's right. But you have to beat co host Jacob Fulmer to it. So, the time is limited, but if you'd like to have those questions answered, you can call in at 417-448-0819. Have all of those burning questions answered, or just put them in the live chat alongside this live stream. Again, if you'd like to call in, that number is 417-448-0819, and the time is limited. You do not want to miss out on that opportunity. So, again, we are continuing to cover this. As we mentioned, a tornado warning across Jakes County, his area there in Columbia, Missouri, Boone County. Again, that tornado warning now is affecting his area. So that is why he's taking shelter. So, again, finding a safe location at this point. And for any of the other folks in this area or the folks who are in the area affected by some of those tornado warnings across Benton County, you do want to get to by all means possible, the lowest, most interior room of your home or building. Avoid mobile homes. Avoid being out on the roads. If you are out on the roads and aren't near a safe, sturdy location, the best thing you can do is just get to a low point. It is not safer to be driving away from it or trying to be in your car at this point on the roadways. What you want to do is stop, park, get out, and get in a ditch. Again, get to a low point. As we mentioned, don't do what they did in the Twisters movie. Again, that was a great illustration, not of what to do, but of what not to do. You don't want to get underneath an overpass because you can actually have wind tunnels on there. The conditions of the tornadoes can actually be exacerbated under those overpasses. As we mentioned, in that film, and again, as in real life, is possible because of those wind tunnels that are created under there. That can be a real threat. Again, you can die that way. So that's not something that we would recommend doing. Again, you want to rather get to the lowest point possible. Again, ideally inside a home structure, again, a sturdy one at that. We want to avoid mobile homes because they don't feature a permanent foundation, and in the case of tornadoes can be sucked up more easily. So we are, of course, here in Beta, Missouri. Things aren't quite as bad as they are in Jake's location. Again, not a tornado warning in effect for this area at this point, but again, still that flood warning in effect, which is still a serious thing. Not a great time to be out on the road. So again, avoid it if you can help it. And if you do have to get somewhere, you want to avoid the flooded roadways. And it appears that we are being joined once again by co-host Jacob Fulmer. All righty, Jake, it appears that we have you back on the air. It is good to have you back again now that you've taken shelter. Hopefully, you are in a safe and secure location. Jake, do we have you?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. It's great to have you back, my friend. Glad you have gotten to a safe location. So, what do you have for us? Any new developments? How are things going on your end?
Well, let's see if I can get kind of a picture of what we've got going on. I don't know if you're able to see my live video here, if it's coming through
Well, I
clearly
can
or
see it
not.
at this point. I can certainly describe it to the folks at home there.
Oh,
They
yes, that would
are currently looking at the radar picture. So
That
won't
is
be able to
correct. Yes,
see the
I did forget
storm.
about that for just one moment. But yes, so I can also, of course, see the radar as well. We've got some very heavy rainfall that is coming down. It looks like that we have some people who are caught outside that are just absolutely soaking wet at this point in time. Uh, it looks like the winds are not too bad at this point in time, as we appear to be gusting at around 20 or 30 miles per hour. I can definitely see some ponding on the roadways as well. We've probably already seen at least a half an inch of rain just in the past 20 or 30 minutes. That's our current conditions. And so this is technically not the actual tornado safe place, but it is very close to it. And so if we started hearing sounds like there was a tornado, then I would be just one room away from that. And so that's where I'm currently located at this point in time. And so the warning that we have still goes in effect to the south of here. That's not the one that we're concerned about. It's actually that one just to the north of that. There's a severe thunderstorm warning that you might notice that does include Columbia, and that one has the tornado possible tag and also has a considerable threat tag with 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. And because we have a tornado possible tag, and 70-mile-per-hour winds, that would be the reason why I have taken shelter. Because again, even when we have a tornado possible tag, even if it's not a technical tornado warning, you can still see tornadic like winds that can come, or there is still that possible risk of a tornado when you're dealing with a tornado tag. And so it's important to understand that even though we may not be under a tornado warning at this point in time, there is still a low chance of a tornadic storm in this area.
Absolutely, yes. And important, a significant distinction that we mentioned throughout the night here on GWP Live. There is a difference between a tornado warning, between a tornado watch, and between a tornado possible tag. In the case of a tornado possible tag, though, it is, of course, attached to another storm cycle. In this case, is attached to a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, that, of course, is because there's pre-existing warning in the area, but shows signs of becoming more severe. Again, we see those suspicious rotations could develop into funnel clouds, which could become tornadoes. That is why we see these tornado possible tags added on to the severe thunderstorm warnings. So we will continue to follow that. There is the possibility. Thankfully, Jake, it appears that you've gotten to a safe or safer location at this point. And again, you're at least right there nearby the storm shelters should things become more severe. So very fortunate on that front. Again, things not nearly as severe at this point at home here in Nevada, Missouri. Things are still pouring down. Plenty of thunder and lightning again. So still flood warning under effect for the area. As we mentioned, some appropriate precautions for that. And if you're in the dark, on appropriate precautions for flooding, for hail, for any of these things, for tornadoes, and any sort of severe weather event, well, you can check out the GWP Severe Weather Preparedness video on the Great World Productions YouTube channel, as well as our other platforms. So again, a number of great things to check out there to be informed, to ensure that you are up to date. And a correction on that, of course, assumed that we would have Jake calling into the show. Again, he is joined as actually live by satellite, which means that we still have a phone line open. So any of the folks at home that have questions can still call in and have those answered at 417-448-0819. Have all those questions answered. Again, maybe a little bit in the dark, confused, afraid about what to do, you don't know in your area, and that's fine. Not to fret, just call in. We will answer those questions at 417-448-0819. You can also put those in the live chat right alongside this live stream. Jake?
Yes, I was just going to see is now this is something that we have not tested out, is this is a scenario that we have not actually prepared for in advance. You know, things do happen live and everything. And so I just wanted to see, is there any way that you can remove the radar that I have currently shown on the screen? Is there any way that you could do that from let's see, are you able to hear me at this point in time? Okay. So it appears that we may be having some connection issues at this point in time. I'm not entirely sure whether or not you can hear me or if you can hear Isaac. If you are able to hear me at this point in time, I can say that the rain has slowed down a little bit, but the threat is not over. As you may be able to see, if you can see and hear me at this point in time, you'll notice that there is still a bow echo moving in towards Jefferson City. So Jefferson City, not only under that risk for that tornado that is moving in with the cell ahead of the storm, but also under that risk for some 70-mile-per-hour winds in association with that Boeing segment. Columbia is included in that. So again, we've got Boone counties, Montauk counties, Cole counties, and as well as into Callaway counties currently under this warning. That severe thunderstorm warning goes until 9 o'clock. The tornado warning that includes Jefferson City and the southern part of Boone County, that tornado warning goes until 8:30. We do not have a confirmed tornado with this storm, but we do have a radar indicated threat. So that is what we're currently dealing with at this point in time with our different storms here. Checking in on that tornado warning. So again, still a radar indicated threat. As of the latest at 8:01, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles southeast of California, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. There is another more broader rotation that has a lower chance of a tornado that is it is in southern Montauk County at this point in time. So that's what we're looking at. Then okay, so the Miller, Morgan, Camden County tornado warning will be expiring at 8:15. So that warning will soon be expiring, but the one that does include the state capital there in Jefferson City, that remains in effect until 8:30. Again, that is Boone, Callaway, Cole, and Montauk counties under that warning until 8:30 p.m. All right. Yes, and it appears that we have lost Isaac on the line at this point in time. So, okay. Let's try to do a few things here. Okay. So here is what we are looking at on the radar. If you're able to see, I believe I'm screen. Yes, I'm okay. So I believe you are able to see my screen at this point in time. If not, apologies for that. But here is that new warning that goes, okay, so we're looking here at the radar just on the south side of Columbia. Again, the biggest concern with this latest warning that we have, I have not done this. Okay. So let's get the latest here on this warning that goes until 8:30. So again, at 8:01, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Centertown, or 8 miles to the southeast of California, moving at 40 miles per hour. So this storm will be moving in towards the Russellville in California area at around 8:05, and so that has already passed Jefferson City at around 8:15. So this tornadic-like storm is now moving into the Jefferson City area. So again, we are not just looking at the threat of a tornado, we are also looking at the possibility of 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds that can cause considerable damage. So 70-mile-per-hour winds are also going to be possible. All right.
Absolutely, yes. The possible of 70-mile-per-hour winds coming up in the area, Jake, and we thank the folks at home for bearing with us through these technical difficulties. Lost connection just for a moment there with the severe weather. Certainly makes things a little bit more difficult. Again, can knock out that satellite connection, which we do rely on to broadcast you all live. But again, if you'd like to call in and have your questions answered, well, the good news for you is that does not rely on satellite. So if you'd like to do that, the number is 417-448-0819 to have all of those questions answered at 417-448-0819, or you can just put them in the live chat alongside this live stream. So apologies to kind of burst in there, Jake. I know I disconnected there for a moment. So again, may have missed a little bit in there. What's new?
Let's see, what was that? We just had some interference there. What was that latest thing that you said there?
Yes, well, just wanted to check in. I know I was out of it for a little while, was knocked out on the satellite connection, and now I'm back. Just wondering for a little bit of an update. How are things on your end?
Yeah, so again, the latest warning that we have is the one that goes until 8:30. And okay, we just had a brand new warning issued. So I want to go ahead and get everybody up to speed on that one.
All righty.
Okay.
Brand new warning issued. What can you tell us about it, Jake?
Brand new tornado. So we just had an extension on the old tornado warning. And now this new tornado warning includes the south side of Columbia. So this warning is an extension. This goes for Boone, Callaway, Cole, and Montauk counties until 9 p.m. This is a radar indicated threat. At 8:17, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 6 miles south of Ashland, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So this possible tornado will be moving towards Ashland at around 8:20, as well as Jefferson City.
Yes, well.
Okay. We have some new information. Sorry about